Good afternoon, everyone. It's 1:30. I'd like to call us the meeting of the Oklahoma City Planning Commission for April 9th, 2026 to order. Go over a few housekeeping items. If you have a cell phone with you, please silence or turn it off. If you're here to speak on an item and you are not the applicant, please fill out one of the forms available outside and give it to Elena or Jared down here. When your item is being heard, you'll be called to come to the podium when we're ready for public speakers. Come to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 5 minutes to speak. If you're here with a large group of people, we encourage you to elect a representative to share your group's concerns, and in those instances, some additional time will be considered. Where several speakers are going to speak on the same item, please do your best to limit comments to concerns that we haven't heard yet. We'd like to keep the meeting efficient and moving, and we reserve the right to limit extensive repetitious comments. Please direct all your comments and questions to us up here on the commission, and if needed, we'll ask the applicant or staff to respond. Finally, we appreciate everyone's presence here today and the obligations that you stepped away from. We kindly ask for your cooperation in upholding the decorum of the meeting, and specifically that you don't speak from the gallery. So, appreciate your help on that. And with that, we will begin, move to item 2 and receipt of the minutes from the March 26th meeting.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to receive the minutes from the March 26, 2026 meeting.
A motion to receive the minutes. It's been seconded by Commissioner Meek. Please cast your votes. And the minutes are received. Next is item 3, continuance requests. We'll start with uncontested requests.
We have several requests for uncontested continuances today. That starts with item B, number 17, case C7794, defer to April 23rd. Item 18, PUD 2110, defer to April 23rd. Item 19, PUD 2131, defer to April 23rd. Item 20, SPUD 1798, defer to April 23rd. Item 21, SPUD 1809, defer to April 23rd. Item 22, case number C7761, defer to May 14th. Item 23, CPA 2506, defer to June 25th. Case number 24, item number 24, PC 10997, defer to June 25th. And item 25, PC 10996 has been withdrawn.
I'll just confirm there's no one here to be heard on any of those items. Seeing none, we're ready for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the uncontested continuance requests as read.
A motion to approve the uncontested continuance requests. It's been seconded by Commissioner Privet. Please cast your votes. And those uncontested requests are granted. Any new requests?
We have no new requests.
Okay. Right, so we'll move on to item 4, public hearings, and we'll start with the consent docket.
We have one item on consent today. It's case C7793, the final plat of Chamois Section 1, located south of Northwest 150th and west of North Sarah Road.
All right. I do not have anyone signed up to speak on that item, so we're ready for a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the consent docket as read.
A motion to approve the consent docket from Commissioner Noble. It's been seconded by Commissioner Meek. Please cast your votes. And the consent docket is approved. Takes us to items requiring separate vote and item 2.
Item 2 is case C7795, the preliminary plat of SH at State Highway 74 North Development, located south of Northwest 150th Street and west of Lake Hepner Parkway.
Good afternoon, Mark Zitzel with Johnson & Associates. Address is 1 East Sheridan Avenue. Before we use the plat for a project that you approved late last year, I think what most people saw was the Shields development. That'll be the first project to go in here. This is the final plat that is the preliminary plat that's establishing the ring road of public streets that'll service all of those lots. Staff has 4 TEs in there, and I did want to walk through a couple of them. TE2 is stating that a stub street is required to the north, or we need a variance. Our development is not opposed to providing the stub street, but at your last planning commission, you did not require the developer to the north to stub into us. So for that reason, we would ask for the variance. I know the neighborhood is also opposed to it, but we don't want to have to put what would be a lengthy stub street in that ultimately won't connect to anything, as the other developer didn't have to. And then it kind of goes along with TE3. We've had conversations with the owner and developers of that tract, and to this point, we have not been able to work out any sort of cross-access agreement. Otherwise, we're in agreement with the other TEs, and we would ask for your approval.
Okay, Commissioner Noble, this is your ward. You want to lead our discussion?
I will, and I did discuss this with the applicant prior to the meeting. The only thing that I did see was the variance, and then on TE number 3, do you want to just strike the vehicular portion of that, or just leave it as it is and let them work that out in the future?
I mean, the language isn't binding, so we're happy to continue the conversations. We're in agreement to the pedestrian connection. I think that's what the developer to the north had. But the vehicular, if we're able to work something out, great, but ultimately that's not going to be our
I'd
decision.
like to see it in there.
I would like
and
to
I
leave
would
it
like
too.
to see at some point, I'd like to see something in writing that they can't come to agreement, or they can, or whatever. But I think it's good to leave it in there.
Yeah. It's not binding, it doesn't
Yeah,
hurt
you can leave
anything.
it in.
So first, we'll do the variance.
Yes.
So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance to section 5.3.1.d.5.
A motion to approve the variance for the item. It's been seconded by Commissioner Meek. Please cast your votes. The variance is approved. Now the remainder of the item.
I would like to make a motion to recommend approval of item C7795.
A motion from Commissioner Noble to recommend the item city council, or to approve the item. It's been seconded by Commissioner Newman. Please cast your votes. And that item is approved.
Thank you.
Item 3.
Item 3 is PUD 1999 SP01, which is an application for a specific plan pursuant to the approval of PUD 1999, located at 3700 North Walker.
Mark Zitzel, 1 East Sheridan Avenue. So this is the specific plan. From the jump, I'll note that staff has noted in the staff report that they've recommended approval and it conforms to the PUD. But given the community engagement that we did during the PUD stage and then again during plating, we thought it would be worthwhile to walk through a little bit more detail on the landscaping and the fencing that was required to come back before you. So, Jared, if you go to the next slide. What the specific plan was required for was landscaping and fencing only along Tract 1, but we've included some other images just so you can see how the street frontages have come together. So Tract 1 is the townhome section, 36 is the east-west street, and Walker is the north-south. And so there's a wrought iron style fence that will buffer the alley from the street, and then there's new sidewalk and a significant amount of vegetation, which if you go to the next one. In the PUD, the goal was for our entries and our signage to look and be similar to that of Edgemere and Crown Heights. And so what you see here is brick, cast stone, and then there's some flagstone. If you go to the next picture, it was blurry, but the columns are flagstone. So if you go to our next slide, where we've placed the columns and the walls, you can see that we've mirrored the flagstone, the cast stone, and the brick in the details. And if you go to the next one, you'll note that for the one off of the Walker Avenue entrance. So these are some renderings. If you go out there today, what you'll find are the streets are in, the cobblestone entry, paving is in, as are some homes that have officially gone vertical and lots that have been closing, which is very exciting. And so you can see those walls, the signage, and the entryway, and then the landscaping in front of the walls. As you move through, you can see the cobblestone at the entries, And this is the entry off of 36th Street, which is a narrower entrance. And so I put in here the landscape plan. You can see how much landscaping is actually being included in that landscape buffer. And if you go to the next one, it zooms in a little bit more. So what the PUD calls for was a mix of evergreen trees and deciduous trees, which the landscape plan conforms to. And so the renderings, there's a mix of multi-trunk trees, evergreens, and then the shade trees that would meet the street tree requirement. So the goal is, at full height, full plumage. The landscape architect can correct me on my terminology here.
Maturity.
Maturity is that you really won't see the fence, and ultimately, really that second story of the townhomes that would be behind that fence. If you go to the next one, it's just another view. As you march down to where the bell tower and old cell tower are, you start to see more evergreens that as they grow, they'll continue to screen the fencing and the concrete retaining wall that's holding up the bell tower. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
It looks nice. Commissioner Powers, this is your ward. You want to lead the discussion?
This is a sort of a minor miracle that this piece of property has come to be developed in the way that it has. It's very much a sort of jewel in the crown kind of thing to have residential development here, and to have it being spearheaded by someone who is so interested in bringing not just a quality product, but something that really mixes with the historic neighborhoods around it in a really positive way, while offering a pretty modern product. I'm very pleased to hear that so much time and attention, but not surprised to hear that so much time and attention is being, not to mention money, showered on the landscaping and so forth. My concern about the property's perimeter has always been that it not look like a walled or gated community. And I think the open wrought iron is great, and the fact that it's going to be, I won't say camouflaged, but let's say enhanced by the landscaping around it, I think is a very positive thing. The fact that it's a bit heavier there on the corner makes sense, given that it is a residential product, pretty close to what's a pretty busy intersection. So I don't have any questions per se about the presentation. I wanted to have a little more full presentation of the application, just than our usual sort of specific plan, looks good, let's go on kind of presentation, because I do think that it's very important to the people who live in this area that what is being built there fits into the community. And I think this is a wonderful example of just how that can be done. So, is there anybody signed up to speak?
I do not have anyone signed up to speak.
If other commissioners have comments or questions, but if not, then I will move approval for item number 3, PUD 1999 Specific Plan 01 for Lexford Park.
We have a motion to approve the specific plan, and for the record, staff's review of the specific plan for the development indicates the proposal is consistent with PUD 1999 Master Design Statement and the Master Development Plan as amended. That item's been seconded by Commissioner Newman, so please cast your votes when available. And that item is approved.
Thank you.
Item 4.
Item 4 is PUD 2053 SP01, which is an application for a specific plan pursuant to the approval of PUD 2053, located at 17841 North Pennsylvania Avenue.
Good afternoon, Mark Zitza, 1 East Sheridan Avenue. This specific plan, staff notes, does conform to the PUD. There was a request in a staff report that dumpsters be relocated, the ones that are along 178th and the one that is closer to Penn. We've talked with the developer. He is more than happy to accommodate that request and relocate the dumpsters. What I guess would end up being south of the front building wall of the apartment buildings along 178th. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but we'd, I guess for staff, appreciate a TE that just notes relocation of the dumpsters along 178th and the one dumpster along Pennsylvania Avenue.
We'll add that as like a condition, that you just modify plans at permitting for that.
Great.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Noble, this is your ward. I do not have anyone signed up to speak.
Thanks. And we did go over this with the applicant, and they did agree upon with the dumpsters. I know there was a lot of work that went into this project to get it approved with the existing neighborhoods. And so with that, anything from any commissioners? No?
Nope.
And you didn't want to add a TE, right? No TE, just
We're
With
going
the
to, we're
agreement.
going to capture the condition or the modification in the minutes.
Okay. With that, I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of PUD 2053 SP01.
We're approving. So we have a motion from Commissioner Noble to approve the specific plan. And for the record, staff's review of the specific plan for the development indicates the proposal is otherwise consistent with PUD 2053 Master Design Statement and the Master Development Plan. That's been seconded by Commissioner Powers. Please cast your votes. And that item is approved.
Thank you.
Item 5.
Item 5 is case number SP 608, is an application for a special permit to operate the use unit 8300.18, which is an automobile dealership and mall in the C3 district at 11818 Southwestern Avenue.
Good afternoon. My name is Elena Cormio, and along with my business partner, Mark Holden, we're the owners of Adastra Management and Tesla Rental OKC. Thank you for the opportunity today. We recently purchased this property. We are repurposing this existing old Burger King building as our office and our operation hub for Tesla Rental OKC. We are not a car dealership, although that's the application. We are a local veteran-owned car rental agency. We specialize in upscale boutique car rental experience for electric vehicles. The site will also feature a hotel-inspired lounge and public EV charging stations, which will be available to anyone in the community, especially in this area of Oklahoma City that has been a bit underserved in terms of EV charging infrastructure. This adaptive reuse has minimal impact. It preserves an existing commercial structure with virtually no structural changes. It brings a low-impact, sustainable business to the area. We're pleased to share we already have strong support from nearby businesses who recognize the value this project brings. We respectfully request that the Planning Commission recommend approval, and I'm available to answer any question you may have.
Thank you. Commissioner Newman, this is your ward. I do not have anyone signed up to speak.
Okay. I'm familiar with their existing operation. It's not too far from my office. It's kind of a low impact sort of thing. I don't have really any issues or concerns. Does anyone else have any comments?
I'll just say that, you know, Commissioner Meek is very disappointed that he's losing his favorite Burger King. So if you have any recommendations on the next favorite Burger King in Oklahoma City, I'm sure he'll be happy to hear those.
With that, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to recommend approval of SP 608 to City Council.
A motion to recommend the special permit to City Council from Commissioner Newman.
With the, with the noted condition.
The technical
Yes.
evaluations. Mhm. So we have,
And
yeah,
you were okay with that?
Say that one more time.
The technical evaluation, I'm sure you're okay with it. It just says that you can't be a car dealership. Okay. So,
yeah, it's limited to vehicle leasing and rental. So, all right, so we have a motion subject to recommend approval, subject to the technical evaluation from Commissioner Newman. It's been seconded by Commissioner Meek. Please cast your votes. That's recommended for approval. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too. Item 6.
Item 6 is a special permit application number SP 609. It's an application to operate use unit 8250.10, which is high impact institutional in the C3 district at 3817 Northwest Expressway.
Good afternoon, Caitlin Turner, 525 Northwest 11th Street, here on behalf of the applicant. So the application before you is to allow for a Bachelor of Science in Nursing program within the 6th floor of the existing office building. Typically, when you see this use unit and the required special permit that has to get submitted with it, you're going to see it for development of an actual university or college. In this instance, because of the higher education nature of the use that we're seeking, it still triggered the special permit application. So staff recommends approval. We haven't received any protests, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Commissioner Powers, this is your ward. I do not have anyone signed up to speak.
I was a bit puzzled by this initially. It seems a bit odd to have to go this route for this particular use at this particular location. I don't see how it is in any way impactful to the uses around it, or there's when you look down the list of special permit items, it's like yes, 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 which is unusual for people who are asking for special permits. So unless there's somebody in the audience who wants to be heard on this item, or comments or questions
don't have
from the
anyone
other
signed up to speak.
commissioners, I'll move approval for item number 6, SP 609.
Subject to the technical evaluation.
Yes.
Which we agreed to.
Yes, subject to technical evaluations.
So we have a motion to recommend.
Although, can I ask, why do we need it to be limited to the 6th floor? Why was that a thing?
First, I want to say that I agree that I really hated actually telling both of our last two applicants that they had to come through this process for buildings that were already there. In our new code, we've recommended that they seek a way to re-tenant this viable space. In this case, for the sake of the special permit, we didn't want it to apply to the whole building, so we just said the 6th floor because this is what this tenant. I don't even think they're occupying the entire 6th floor.
Right.
But it would allow a potential expansion. If that should happen, they wouldn't have to come back just to only have what's shown on their floor plan. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, if the applicant's willing to agree, it's like not a problem for me, but I'm just curious about it. We're good, so so yes, with the TEs.
Okay. So we have a motion from Commissioner Powers to recommend the item to City Council subject to the technical evaluation. It's been seconded by Commissioner Newman. Please cast your votes. That item is recommended for approval. Item 7.
item 7 is PUD 2137, an application to rezone 1325 East Hefner Road from PUD 2057 to PUD 2137.
Good afternoon, Caitlin Turner, 525 Northwest 11th Street, here on behalf of the applicant. So the PUD before you, we have an R1-based zoning district where we've modified minimum lot size to the 4,400 square feet and the 40-foot lot widths. You'll see in the site in your staff report that this site is encumbered by floodway and floodplain, which is reducing the amount of developable area. But also, if you look at the trajectory that this area is trending towards, you're going to see we still have some R4 zoning in that PUD 1443 to the northwest. We have the smaller lots in the existing PUD 1529 immediately west. So we've got 4,000 to 5,000 square foot lots in that division. We also have the commercial and office there to the west. If you look a little further southwest, you're going to see PUD 1841, which is currently zoned with an R4-based zoning district. So it allows for multifamily, but also allows for the 4,000 square foot lots and 40-foot lot width. So that's actually smaller than what we are proposing. And if you look right next to PUD 1841, you're going to see a developing community that also has the 40-foot lot width. So you are seeing these more in this area, especially what we have done to, give the give and take with this PUD application is we have increased the amenities and we've also increased the open space. We'll add those TEs here shortly. You're also going to see that we have a 30-foot landscape buffer along the east since we do have larger lots to the east. And then we also have a 6-foot cedar capped fence along the common area that you're going to see in the southeast of the property. So looking at the TEs, staff does recommend approval. We're going to seek to modify and strike some of these. The first one regarding the single-car garages we would seek to strike. You're going to see the other developments in this area with the same 40-foot lot width with 2-car garages, and of course, we don't want to exacerbate any on-street parking issues. Number 2, we agree. Number 3, we would seek to modify to healthy mature trees shall be preserved to the greatest extent possible within platted common areas. Number 4, we would seek to strike. We already have included under section 8.6, usable open space shall be located within 1,320 feet from every lot within the PUD. We would like to add a TE that would state the following amenities shall be required: splash pad, double pickleball court, and a playground. And we would like to add an additional TE to modify the minimum open space we currently have in the PUD from 15% to 24%. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all have.
Commissioner Harrison is not with us, and this is Ward 7, so if Commissioner Noble, if you could lead our conversation. I do not have anyone signed up to speak on the item.
Thanks. And there was one written protest in the application you probably did see.
And yes, the applicant has discussed with that neighbor and has alleviated their concerns. So we are coming with you today with no protest.
Good. There was also in the application a statement about the location of where the trees were going to be planted.
Yes, that is correct. And I have confirmed, so you're referring to the tree between the sidewalk and the curb. I've confirmed with Mr. Dustin Seagraves that the water line is always going to be in the front. And I spoke with Mr. Jared Martin and confirmed that OG&E is also going to have a 10-foot easement in the front. So if that's something that we would like to modify to just meet the code instead of planting a potentially problematic tree underneath utilities, we're more than happy to do so. We can add that as an additional TE to modify to just per code for the landscaping.
I agree with that.
So we can just add the landscaping will be per code.
Yeah.
And then did have a question on the common areas and how it's written within the application and then how it's written in the TE. I would rather see it stay as written in the TE with the walkable distance.
We've seen this TE pop up here recently. This is a newer TE that we have been seeing from staff, and historically we have modified to what's currently written in the master design statement, which is why that's already in there to have that distance requirement. So for that reason, and again, because of what historically has been approved with that revised verbiage.
I do recall, I mean, this has been brought up a few times. And there was one down on the south side, just south of 240, and I was almost positive that we did it as walkable and not straight line. But it's yours, so you might know more than me. I wasn't sure how we did that.
I know we did one in Ward 1 that way.
So the reason that we put that in there this way was at 150th and County Line, we did the same thing, 1,320 feet from any lot.
Straight line?
Straight line, correct.
Is walkable a defined term in the code? I mean, is
Well,
it
it says
is it
a walkable distance along sidewalks or trails. So that's how it would be
So
defined.
it's the walkable part that's along sidewalks or trails, not the location of the trees. I mean, yeah.
To the park.
Well, I think what it circumvents is if for whatever reason there's a barrier, whether it's a drainage channel or something, like it's right out in your backyard and you've got open space behind that, but you can't get to that open space
Right.
because you have to walk down the street and all the way around, then really you shouldn't be able to count that as open space that you have access to if it's not within the 1,320 feet.
So on this one, before I even put that into the PUD, I went to every lot and looked at our usable open spaces that were centrally located in this addition to make sure that they were within that 1,320 feet of that. Well, that's gonna put us at maybe, I don't know, 2,000 feet or something
Yeah.
walkable.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's why, and we stuck with that on 150th and County Line, which is the last one that I discussed this with you on.
Yeah.
And that
Well,
was approved there, so.
No, and that, I mean, that's a fair point. As it's new and we keep, we've only seen it a few times, I would ask planning to maybe look at it and maybe does it need to be an average of something? I don't know. An average of 1320? Because you're going to have lots that are just a few hundred feet, but you might have some that are 2,000, or you can only have a percentage that exceed, the 1,300 up to 2,000 or something like that. So,
I mean,
just
there's
some-
got to be a way to achieve in text what it is we're trying to express here. And I get the point, yes, as the crow flies is not helping anybody get to the amenities, so.
And even like on your site plan, there's open space southeast, southwest, in the middle, all along the west side. It seems like there's quite a bit of open space that I didn't know that you
When I
couldn't
say
reach it.
I say usable is like, I would expect.
Can you speak into the microphone just so that we can make sure that we got it?
Watch your feet.
Thank you. Just push Caitlin out of the way.
When I see the usable, I'm thinking that there's some amenity inside of that, right? Not just being like.
Open space.
Open
Detention
space.
ponds and the other things that are
So,
considered.
and how is staff going to interpret that in sometime in the future when staff changes? So,
Yeah.
not that she's told me anything or anything, but.
Yeah, and I understand that also, but to the same point, if you're walking to the park, the 1,320 feet is the,
If we remove the
quarter
word-
mile and.
If you remove the word usable, then it's
No.
easy, right?
Well, I think, yeah, it is, but I think
But
you,
then
I think
goes
you
against the
need,
premise.
I think you need the usable in there because, if you're going to count a detention pond or a retention pond, as you can't count that as that's not usable open space unless there's a trail around that. So, or if it's heavily wooded, if it's open space but heavily wooded and underbrush and all that stuff, that's not usable. So. So I think it's
Yeah,
warranted.
Right, but the whole object is to get centrally located parks that everyone can get to in a timely manner. And I know that we talked about the distance and how much time it was to walk the 1,320 feet. I just was looking for something that we could all agree on in the future, just know in the development side and in our side that it'd already be in the application, so we wouldn't have to go through this.
Yeah, in this particular edition, we're giving up over 30 acres with 24%, and just trying to give and take here. So the 1,320 and what we had agreed on before, I was hoping that we could reach your agreement there.
Yeah, no, I'm all for the upping it to 24%. I just have a feeling that is area that's probably just not buildable. So it looks good on paper with a number, but as far as being usable, I'm not sure how usable it is. What's everyone else feel about this?
In the bad old days, I think we used to actually designate where the amenities were going to go. I don't know whether that would be the system we would prefer or not, but we can just decide now where they're going, I suppose.
And we want to give the developer the flexibility of where they're putting the parks. We do want them centralized. We do want them close to the homes and not having to walk or, ride a bike too far to the park. So, I like the way it's read. I know you.
I vote that we leave it the way it is and task Mark with forming a subcommittee of developers to solve this
The
problem.
next 6 weeks before it goes.
Given the additional amenities that we're also agreeing to, hoping there's maybe more wiggle room. I understand the comment about the increase in open space, but we're also adding amenities to this development that wouldn't otherwise be required.
Okay, then
That
what?
does matter.
Okay, yeah, I know, that's a good point. Usable, how about we just add the word usable open space or amenity shall be located within 1320 of walkable distance along sidewalks and trails from every lot.
I can do that.
With amenity defined as the park, the playground, or the splash pad, or the pickleball splash pad playground.
Got it.
Okay, so now that we got that covered, regarding TE1, the single car garage, we've got another case later, but where they want to go to 2-car garages, and again, it's 40-foot lots, and you know, we've really been emphasizing, you know, things that we can do on these 40-foot lots that kind of help improve the community, so that you just don't have a whole garage as the front on such a narrow lot. And one of the things that I would like to suggest, is that if they want a 2-car garage, great, you can have a 2-car garage, but break it into the 2 single doors and stagger the facade a couple feet. In our briefing, we made that request and they said it couldn't be granted. They said what?
It could.
They said they couldn't do it. So, but I really would like to see us as a commission push for that. If we're going to be putting 2-car garages on 40-foot lots, that we really push for that.
Or even if it's a double door, not 2 singles, that the facade of the house steps back and forth at least, so it's not just a straight row of garage doors.
You know, my fear with the 2 garage doors is it typically takes up more space than a single overhead door. And I don't know if this is, I'm going to throw something out there. You know, instead of focusing on the garage, what if we require a certain amount of frontage that's not garage?
I'm fine with that. I'm not the architect. I'll leave that up to you, but I'm a designer, so I know what I think's proportionally gonna look good, but
Or if we limit it to a certain size garage door, you know, 16 versus an 18.
yeah.
Right, and what started the single-car garage TE was really the 30-foot lots, which I hope we don't see any more of those, but that's where it was born at.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're
and
still
a
gonna
way
have-
to break up that look is the goal, right? And so, you know, you maybe put the garages next to each other off the 5-foot, and then the more part of the house is,
Mirror them.
Mirror them.
yeah, but still just break it up. I mean, and how do we put that in the PUD is difficult. But single cars, or the 2 singles, some offset, some double.
I agree with Commissioner Newman.
But if they're not 18 feet wide in today's world, getting 2 cars in is impossible, and then you just got more problems. But when you're looking at it, you have 30 foot of buildable space, you have 22 feet for a garage, or 24 feet. There's not much left. Front door and a window.
Maybe not even the window.
So
Yeah,
we're just
unfortunately.
asking for something to make it look better.
Understood. Again, just southwest of here, you're going to see the same product with smaller lot sizes that are doing the 2-car garages. People want 2-car garages. And again, just because of the market and the builders, how these are being
Right.
developed.
And I'm in total agreement with,
Yeah.
of putting a 2-car garage in. It's just trying to get it to then look aesthetically more pleasing from the street. It's not just seeing garage doors all the way down.
You know, there's language in our urban design standards having to do with, you know, breaking up that flat look. You know, I suppose you could do it with your materials. You could do it, there are other ways visually to do it. A garage door is kind of a garage door, though. That's the problem. You know, there's not a lot you can do to dress it up. But surely there's some language there in our urban design standards that we could look to in terms of how these could be varied a bit. You really don't want to look down a street and just see nothing but, you know, garage doors and a tree.
Well, and maybe one of the things that, along those lines, make it such that the garage door had to be pushed back. A lot of times we'll see the garage door being the first thing out closest to the street. But if we put in some language where that the entry to the house had to be proud of the garage door, might help a lot.
I think an easy.
Either or, whichever one is the one that pops out is not as significant to me as the fact that it's not just flat. They want to put the porch part out front, great. They want to put the garage out. I don't like that quite as much, but at least it varies it gives you some articulation.
Like we do with the tilt-up buildings that have the big, long facades, that we make them vary the facade heights and the facade protrusions. I think a simple way to handle developments like this would be to put like every 400 feet or 500 feet, you have to have a minimum 5-foot setback separation so that it's at least breaking up on the
I
block.
think you're going to have to look at it on a lot-by-lot basis.
Lot by lot?
Yeah. But I mean, if we just put in some language, for instance, that there must be two planes in the front facade that have to be offset a minimum of 3 feet. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's not one big
I
gable.
think, I don't know if it's in this one, but sometimes on the 40-foot lots or even on less, but that the house can be 15-foot setback and the garage has to be 20. And so that kind of.
That will require that.
It's just how and if they do it.
Were you wanting to say something?
I was just gonna say, hopefully, at least in this case, because of the landscape buffer we have on the east, because of what is existing immediately to our west and kind of in this area, as well as the amenities, maybe we can proceed with the 2-car garage and continue to strike TE1, and then in the background, for the future, we can work on some verbiage in the meantime for moving forward with these types of applications with the smaller lots. But again, given the amenities and given the items that have been negotiated into this PUD to make it compatible with the area and to make it an attractive product, again, with the buffers and amenities, how do we feel about just keeping that one struck for now, moving forward?
Yeah, I think what we're doing today really is a discussion,
starting to- yeah,
we know
understood.
this is going to council, and I know the
Yeah.
councilperson in Ward 7 is probably going to have something to say about this, and we're just putting some stuff into
Yeah,
so he can
understood.
talk about it.
Because I know he misses this, and he comes
Really?
back and watches every meeting.
Right.
Definitely, definitely.
I'm good with it.
Did anyone sign up to speak on this? I didn't ask.
No.
Anything else from any other commissioners? No? Caitlin, would you go in the number 5 and number 6? Read those back in,
And 7.
Yes.
and 7?
Yep. Number 4, I think, is the first one that we modified. So modified to usable open space or amenity as defined as splash pad, double pickleball courts, and playground shall be located within 1,320 feet from every lot within the PUD. Number 5 would be the following amenities shall be required: splash pad, double pickleball courts, and a playground. The T6, there shall be a minimum of 24% open space provided within this PUD. Number 7, modify the landscaping regulations to be in accordance with code.
Modify number 1.
Strike number 1.
Yeah, strike number
Strike
1,
number 1.
agree to number 2. Number 3, modify to healthy mature trees shall be preserved to the.
And also on number 4, just to clarify, so usable open space and amenity located within a 1,320 feet walkable distance along sidewalks or trails.
Oh, yes, apologies.
Okay, and I'm sorry, Caitlin, I need to have you describe number 7 again and what we're actually modifying.
Modifying landscaping regulations.
To be just per code.
Pull it up, yeah. We're
There-
basically removing the requirement to,
With the tree
Have
and
the
the space
T-
between the
have-
curb and the
Right.
sidewalk.
Can you
Will that
please,
work?
can you please go to section 8.2 and tell me what you're modifying?
yep, going there now. 8.2, okay. So basically, removing item 4 in section 8.2.
Okay, so I think, not that you wouldn't put the tree in the front yard, but technically, our zoning code does not say the one tree has to be in the front yard. So I'm just putting that out there for you all.
So maybe what number 7 needs to say is just that we're removing item number 4, 8.2.4.
What she's saying is the last part of item 4 says that there has to be one tree between the sidewalk and the residence, and if you remove number 4, they can not do any tree, right?
They could do one tree per lot. It doesn't technically have to be in the front yard.
Front yard, right.
Do you all want it to be in the front yard? I mean, we already.
I'd like to see it read one in the front and one in the back.
This is kind of what I brought up a couple of weeks ago, and why I think we should look at it in the code update as far as, trees and requirements and, because for obvious reasons, the 2 trees, and especially the one by the sidewalk, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially when that tree matures, if it's able to mature.
Typically, when Mr. Grubbs and other developers bring a plat forward, they put on the front of the plat that the tree will be placed in the front yard. I'm just letting you know that if we're talking about where the trees go, front and between the curb, that technically,
sense, yeah.
under our current code, the zoning wouldn't require it.
And if you all would rather see us modify 8.2.4 to, for single-family residential, 8200.14, there shall be one tree planted between the sidewalk and the residence, period.
I like it.
Okay.
Well,
They were already
hold
going
on.
to give you 2 trees.
They were going to give us 2 trees. I want to stay with the 2 trees. So
One in the
instead
back, one in the
of
front,
instead of there shall be one tree planted between the street and the sidewalk, you just say there's one tree planted in the backyard and one tree planted between the sidewalk and the residence.
I like it.
Agreed.
Okay. So the TE will be modifying
Save them.
8.2.4 is read in.
Dustin, should like it.
Anything else? So I'm going to recommend approval of the TEs as written into the
Striking TE1
striking TE one.
and TEs 2 through 7 is read in.
Good with that, Sarah? Yep. Okay, with that, I will make a motion to recommend approval of PUD 2137, striking TE1, and recommending, or reading in TEs 2 through 7.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Noble to recommend the item City Council for approval, subject to the amended TEs. Or we have a system issue?
We took too long.
Okay, all right, then we just need a. we
Timed
need a-
out on it.
Have to unplug it and replug it back in. All right, so then we need a second for the motion verbally.
Second,
Okay, the item's been seconded by Commissioner Powers, and then voice vote.
aye.
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 Aye? Aye.
Aye.
Nay. All right. The item passes, is recommended for approval. All right, item 8.
Okay, the next 3 items are related. Item 8 is CPA 2026-00002, which is a consideration of a proposed map amendment to the comprehensive plan, removing the employment layer over the urban low designation in an area located north of West Hefner Road and east of the Kilpatrick Turnpike.
Okay, good afternoon. Vanessa Mujica Ortiz for the Planning Department. So this is a comprehensive plan amendment, CPA 2026-0002. Oh, there you go. Like Sarah mentioned, it's a request to remove the employment land LUDA from the urban low LUDA base designation. The associated application is PUD 2130. That's where the selected site is. It's in the northwest part of the city. in terms of land use, right now is undeveloped, is surrounded to the east, to the west, undeveloped, and it has some residential to the north and some residential and commercial to the south. In terms of zoning, right now is zone AA with some AA to the east and some PUD surrounded the area too. In terms of the LUDA, is the employment LUDA in the site, is employment LUDA to the east, and then to the west is just basically the highway. To the north is Urban Low. I just want to point out, I'll go back, all this area used to be employment. In terms of water, the site, the water is readily available on site. In terms of sewer, is readily available on site. In terms of emergency services, the site is within urban response time for fire and emergency services. In terms of the findings, the subject site is an excellent site for employment uses due to its proximity to highways and other employment uses in the area. Plus, it has all the city infrastructure. It's a well-served and situated employment land are limited to in the northwest area of the city, where sites are suitable for residential uses are more plentiful. Preserving employment land to facilitate the creation of jobs remain critical to Oklahoma City's overall economy, economic stability, and future growth. Removing the employment designation on this site will reduce the amount of development-ready employment land available in the northwest quadrant of the city, lessening the city's ability to retain and attract large employers. Based on the findings, the staff recommends denial of this request. In the case the Planning Commission decides to remove the employment layer, then the staff recommends to include an expansion of 9.9 additional acres. Those are the acres between the site and the highway, just to create a more clean area with a total of 106.87 acres. I don't know if you have any questions.
Right. Thank you. Right. This is Ward 1. So, I mean, this is the last kind of segment of the employment reserve, and we've tackled this numerous cases over the last several years, and planning is still adamant that this is employment reserve and needs to be kept. But half the time these owners don't know they're in employment reserve, and they're selling the land and they're not aware of it. But what is developing out here is residential, and that's been the case for the last several years. And as we'll see here in a little bit, that continues to be the case. And so I am all for the employment reserve areas, but if you're going to do it, we got to do it right, like we've done it out in the Oklahoma City, property authority goes and buys the land and it's reserved. So, so I'm in support of the removal of the employment layer. So, any other comments, questions from commissioners?
Anyone sign up to speak?
I do not have anyone signed up to speak.
And I'm in agreement with you too, so.
I still, I've always had kind of mixed feelings about these. It is, I think, very difficult to make a strong case, and I'll take my lawyer hat off, I guess, but that, the city, by simply designating something as reserve, is going to require, actually reserve it. The idea behind these large swaths of employment reserve initially was to allow for sufficient room for a very large employer, not only to have their own business and the ability to design traffic access that made sense for a large business, but also to provide some services for the employees, and even possibly residential development that would provide workforce housing or whatever. And I think it was a laudable idea. I think at the time, most all of this land was, out in the middle of nowhere still, and, there weren't turnpikes. And I think it is unfortunate that we are losing these large reserves, but I can't make a very articulate or clear-headed argument for how we should be able to control the development that the market is dictating, based on our limited ability to actually control the development. To go buy it or to more actively recruit, actual employers who want it or whatever. I think it's all land that's been sitting there for a long time, and that's what you do when you have empty land. You plant a flag on it, But
And to say that comprehensive plan was built between 2012 and 2015 per se, and then the turnpike already existed, and this was all raw land except for some AA and large acreages throughout there. And the idea to have an industrial buffer along the turnpike on both sides and then housing it past that, to me, makes a lot of sense. But once the ball started rolling towards all residential and residential backing right up to the turnpike, stopping that, especially at this point, it's almost a moot point. It's gone. So I'm in agreement with that. But the idea behind it and having the ground as a buffer between the highway and then residential is pretty good planning.
You're absolutely right. I mean, this particular piece of land, which is actually what we're here tasked to look at, it would be very difficult for you to put any kind of employment, a large employer. Not only just the size of the site, but the traffic and the way it's working out there now with the residential that's already developed around it. This would be a terrible place to try to put a big business.
Yes, at this point, it's, gone.
Okay. All good points. We ready for a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the proposed map amendment to the comprehensive plan, removing the employment layer over the urban designation and include the additional 9.9 acres as shown in the exhibit.
All right. A motion to approve the amendment from Commissioner Noble. And seconded by Commissioner Meek. Please cast your votes. That item is approved. Item 9.
Okay, item 9 is the zoning associated with the last case. It's PUD 2130, an application to rezone 9525 West Hefner Road from the AA district to PUD 2130.
Good afternoon, Caitlin Turner, 525 Northwest 11th Street, here on behalf of the applicant. So the PUD before you is an R1 base zoning district, again, modifying the minimum lot size to 4,400 square feet and 40-foot lots. With this item, we did cap it, so we have a maximum now of 200 40-foot lots and a maximum of 35 duplex lots. So that decreases the dwelling units per acre that you see in your staff report now from 5.04 to 4.78 dwelling units per acre. So when you're looking at what is now the urban low intensity land use typology that it falls under, you're looking at 4 to 8 dwelling units. So we're still on the low end of that contemplation for density. We do have 40-foot lots immediately to our north in PUD 1796, as well as to our east. We also have a 70% lot coverage, so we will be lower than that in that PUD 2049 that you see there. Of course, we're adjacent to the highway, north of Northwest Expressway. It's compatible with the surrounding zoning. There is one TE regarding the single-car garage that we would seek to strike. But other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have. This is also another one where we have the landscaping, the tree with the, in between the sidewalk and the curb. So I think we'll need to go ahead and modify that as well, adding the TE to do so. So happy to answer any questions that you all have with those amendments.
Thank you. This is Ward 1, and I want to offer my appreciation for the applicant to work with myself and Councilman Carter on this. This originally came to us as 379 40-foot lots, and we felt that was too dense, and also 55 duplex lots for a total of 110. So They have, we've gone back and forth, and I think we found a good compromise with the 200-foot or 240-foot max lots and the 35 duplex lots. So I appreciate that. I think, one of the other things in discussions that I requested was that if we could somehow, mix in the 40-foot lots with the 50-foot lots or the other lot sizes, just so that we didn't have, a section of you've got the duplex. Obviously, those will all be in one area, but not. I don't think co-locating all the 40s in one area of the development and then everything else in the other. I would like to see everything kind of commingled to break up. Again, this is going to get away from that item that we talked about in the last case of just having a string of 40-foot lots and all the garages in the front. So I wanted to put that out there, that as we, again, talk about this case, future cases, and the new code, that we are somehow prioritizing that as being something that we can implement. So,
Unfortunately, we are unable to agree to the intermingling of the lots. I don't know what the verbiage would look like, number one, but number two, whenever builders are purchasing these lots, they're unable to really agree to that, especially if their product is going to be primarily the 40-footers and you have another developer doing the larger. It's not feasible. They become less marketable from a building perspective, but also as someone that's, going and buying a lot, like is next to like. So people are going to want to look around and see how their neighborhood, how their street is going to look, and what they expect. I think from an appraiser standpoint, then that also helps with that aspect. So that's ultimately the reason we
I get
can't agree to that.
but I still think there's things that can be done. I mean, the larger lots can be put on the perimeter, or you mentioned there's 40-foot lots up north in the next community. I mean, it makes sense for the 40-foot lots to abut those, but I think the point I'm just trying to convey is that we prefer not to see just shoving all the 40-foot lots in one area of the development.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry, but I'd really like to hear an explanation better than that, better than just marketable money. It's just not true. It's more about the look of the neighborhood, good planning, mixing 40s, 50s, mixing people within the development to create a better community.
Kendall, would you like?
Kendall's got that.
And I can certainly see that if you've got 40 and then you've got 60s or something like that. But when you're talking 40 to 50, yeah.
For the record, Kendall Dillon, Crafton Toll. And to cut to the skinny, I think Caitlin's exactly right. I mean, at the end of the day, everything that we do is market driven. And so whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, what we do know is, especially if you go look at the top builders that are pulling permits in this town, they do not want them intermingled. But now, if you look at it also, and I think a large part of that is if you start to look at, it's when you deal with normally the market for those units goes up in 5-foot increments in residential development, because you're building a different product every 5 foot, but for sure every 10 feet. So even, for instance, we had one before you the other day, Magnolia, up at 164th and West or Penn. I've got one right now that I'm working on that are 60 and 70-foot lots, but even with those lots, they still always were segregating them or putting them in pods, because you're dealing with different markets and the absorption rate is different with every different market. So now when you start to look at absorption rate, one market obviously is outrunning the other one. So now we look at phasing, and it's a lot more difficult to phase something that's intermingled throughout the whole thing than it is within its pods. And so what you would end up with is, from a feasibility and efficiency standpoint, if we tried to phase, and let's just say we need 70% of this market versus 30 of the other, we have to build a huge footprint with lots of infrastructure sitting on the ground out there, and the absorption rate, because the ones intermingled aren't that. So it's not efficient development. That's the reason that developers, well, and like I say, from a planning standpoint, I get it, right? Like we mix in 40s and 50s, but when you get to the market side of it and the builders and the people that are building these developments, that's the reason that they still like the pods and the segregation is because it's just it's a numbers game, it's an efficiency thing. And so that's the reason on this one. We've tried to balance it the best we can. And it's not that you do have them somewhat concentrated, but they're still kind of throughout the development, you still have pods of 50s and pods of 40s.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's an issue and we got to figure out how to resolve it.
We could just say that we're gonna just in suburbs, outside the core, 50-foot lots. You'd like that a lot, wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, and here's the reality, right? Like,
I would.
I mean,
have this discussion though, right? About, let's take your comp plan, for instance. Well, your comp plan recommends 4 to 8 dwelling units per acre.
Yeah.
So we have 240-foot lots just to get us to a little over 4. So there's a discrepancy between your comp plan and what we're proposing. And we understand the sensitivity with 40-foot lots, but here's the predicament, obviously, from our end of it as well, is, we did one thing 6 months ago, and so us trying to do the planning, because we're planning months ahead, it's difficult for us and then to come in and to try to negotiate, because some of these things make a big difference, right? Like even with recessed garages, like it seems like it should be real simple, but the guys that are building them every day, they have a good reason for why they're reluctant to do it, because it screws up the efficiency and the constructability of the house. And so it's hard for us, and Caitlin and I, to stand up here and to be able to answer those around the horseshoe and give good answers and protect our clients and do right. So it's almost like this is where we've been. We're doing our best to understanding the sensitivity of it. But at some point, yes, it sounds like we need to have a discussion about this is how we're going to approach things so that we're not trying to mix them on this one or recess garages on this one. And we can have some way that we, as engineers and developers, can kind of know what to expect and try to design around those things.
and I want you to be able to know what to expect, and I want you to know what to tell these national builders when they come in here and they want to put cookie cutter product all the way across the block, and it looked like a garage door from one end to the other. And so that's the discussion today.
Sounds like a study session.
Yep. I mean, one developer I'll single out that I tend to like the looks of their products is Ideal Homes. I know there's other ones that look like that too, but they seem to, make them to where not every house is the same. They all kind of look a little bit different, but they're all basically the same, but they just don't look the same. I like them.
All right, so it's more than we can solve today, but I want to keep talking about it so that it stays on everyone's minds. So, any other comments, questions from commissioners?
I'm sorry, we're probably ready to move on from this, but my best friend has moved out to a little neighborhood southwest, which has been a really eye-opening experience for me. And she lives in a neighborhood that has these really windy streets, which is interesting since we're all married to the grid here. But also, you almost don't really notice it, except that there is so much variation. The model in the neighborhood she's in, which I cannot remember the name of to save my life, is that some of the houses have 2-car garages, and some of them have 3-car garages, which is interesting. So there can't be that much of a problem incorporated. And it's just like, they seem to be scattered. It's not like all the ones on this street are 2 and all the ones on this street are 3. They're just scattered. And it can't be that much of a problem to build some variation into your development.
Well, it is when you have when you're a builder that's perfected a specific floor plan, and that's pretty much all you build with a slight variation. The footprint stays the same, but in the interior might have a few changes. But I get what they're saying, but at the same time, like, come up with a couple different versions that aren't that significant a change. And because if it takes you a little bit longer, I mean, when you've perfected the method, then it's efficient and time is money. So, but I think we just need to see some more options.
And I get that too. Everybody has their way of doing things, but, you know, our job here is not to make their lives easier.
I know.
Our job here
is
the
to make
best
our
result.
communities better.
That's right.
Yes.
That's
Not make
right.
it easy on the builders. Yeah.
Well, and to that point, we have decreased the maximum number of 40-foot lots. We have decreased the maximum number of duplex lots. We've increased the percentage required for recreational common area. So hearing the comments ahead of time, we did include those trade-offs to make it a more diverse type of community in that regard.
And again, I appreciate that. We've made it better. Have we made it great? Probably not, but we will get there.
I think just from planning's perspective, we've been talking about this for years and years and years, and I think that the code update, this is the next opportunity to try to figure this out, except on a case-by-case basis with every individual PUD would be during that code update process and revision of the potential revision of the subdivision regulations. I mean, I look at Mr. Dillon, he knows that's been, we've talked about that for years and years, so.
Okay, anything else? All right, I think we're ready for a motion.
Well, before that, Caitlin, just go through the Ts. Are we going to do more than just one and two?
I think we're striking.
Striking one,
Striking one.
adding two on the landscape. But do we have to add the TEs for the maximum number of 40-foot lots?
It's already included in here. It's not in your staff report, but the master design statement was updated before the agenda was released. So the current master design statement does stipulate that max of 200 and max of 35 for the duplex lots. That's going to be under section 9.1, very last paragraph. It's track
yep.
1 and track 2.
Okay. That's good enough, Sarah?
I'm not seeing
On page 4.
landscape.
Well, no, the landscape will have to do something too for the trees.
Okay.
Landscaping is section 9.3, so that would be potentially just striking after the comma, except that there shall be one tree planted between the street, curb, and sidewalk.
Amend 9.3 to say, except there shall be one tree planted between the street curb and front of house, and one tree planted in the backyard. Between the sidewalk and the front of house, and one tree planted in the backyard.
Yep, we agree to that. So we'll add that as a TE to modify the landscaping regulations
9.3.
as read. Let me read it. Do you want me to say it again?
So I'm sorry, striking TE1 and adding the landscaping as TE2,
Yes,
and that's all.
that's all.
Yeah. Just to confirm, I think somebody asked, the lot count is already captured in the staff report. What's going to differ is that they've revised their exhibit for the PUD to add all the additional open space and reconfigure it into more usable space. That will not be reflected yet on the plat. But the lot count and all those rules are already incorporated into what you're approving.
Anything else? Rusty? No. Okay, I will make a motion to recommend approval of PUD 2130, striking TE1 and adding TE number 2, modifying section 9.3 of the landscaping.
All right. A motion to recommend the item to City Council for approval, subject to the amended TEs from Commissioner Noble. It's been seconded by Commissioner Newman. Please cast your votes. That item's recommended for approval. Item 10.
Okay, and finally, item 10 is the preliminary plat that goes with the last two items. It is C7788, the preliminary plat of Rother Farms located north of West Hefner Road and east of the John Kilpatrick Turnpike.
Caitlin Turner, 525 Northwest 11th Street, here on behalf of the applicant. So the preliminary plat application before you is accompanying the PUD 2130 you just voted on. Staff recommends approval. It conforms to the subdivision regulations as well as that PUD 2130, including the revision to the lot count and the maximum number of 40s and duplexes. So we would ask for your approval. Happy to answer any questions.
You're in agreement with all the TEs?
Yes, we
Okay.
are in agreement to all the Ts.
All right. Any comments, questions from commissioners? All right. I think we're ready for a motion.
Nobody signed up to speak.
No one signed up to speak.
Then I will make a motion to recommend approval of case number C7788.
A motion to approve the preliminary plat, subject to the TEs, from Commissioner Noble, seconded by Commissioner Newman. Please cast your votes. And the
Thank you.
preliminary plat is approved. Item 11.
Okay, item 11 is CPA 2026-0003, consideration of a proposed map amendment to the comprehensive plan, removing the heavy industrial layer from the urban low intensity land use typology area. This is located south of Southwest 29th Street and east of South Meridian. And we seem to be having some issues where I don't think we can show your presentation. So I am really sorry about that. Hold on, everybody just stand by.
Give it a good kick.
Computer gremlins are in full force today.
Okay.
Okay.
If we can't show the presentation regarding this, I have issues with this case as it is. I didn't know if we could just do a
Continue.
deferral or continue this item.
Or overhead projector.
Yeah, or,
Oh, there it's coming.
If you continue this item, I would assume you'd want to continue the PUD that follows. Our client has an application deadline associated with this project in June. We're unable to take a deferral on this.
even 2 weeks.
Correct.
Looks like
We
Jared's
know
back
there's
up.
going to be multiple conversations before we get to city council, so we just do not have the leeway to take a deferral.
Are we going to get the, okay, then stand by so we can get
Looks like Jared's
items back up on the screen for, do we, yeah.
There we go. It's doing something.
No. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Vaneri Mujica Ortiz for the Planning Department. So we are Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2026-003. The request is to remove the heavy industrial layer from urban low. I'm going to do this presentation a little different. This case is very particular and a little different, so we're going to explain a little different things while we move along the maps. There is the subject site. Okay, in terms of the land use, I want to stop here for 1 minute, and this is part of the explanation why the recommendation from the staff. In terms of the land use, the site itself is between undeveloped and residential. You can look to the south of the site. There is a lot of residential land use, and even though to the east, it says that it's undeveloped. It used to be like a trailer park kind of residential area there too. And even though it says to the west, industrial, the truth is there's some residential too in that area. Next one. In terms of the zoning, it's a similar story in the zoning too. We have a lot of residential to the south. Even though it says industrial to the east, it used to be a residential, again, like a trailer park, and then to the west is the same story too. Next one. Here you can see what the heavy industrial layer is. We are requesting the staff is requesting to expand. The reason for that is that we want to remove the heavy industrial to go to urban low. It's important to mention that urban low is not only for residential, it includes mixed use. What it means that light industrial, commercial, all of that is within the policy for urban low. So that's why recognizing how the area is been changing and the character of the area, that's why we recommend it to expand to this area. It's what is actually there, it's what has been happening in the area. The site has water, sewer, and emergency services too. In terms of street topology and capital improvements, there is a lot of capital improvements that are happening on that area too. In terms of findings, the proposed urban low LURA designation is compatible with the adjacent urban low LURA to the north and west and the residential and commercial development in the area. Additional housing in this area is desirable due to its proximity to business and major regional employers. Removing the heavy industrial layer from this area provides a compatible extension of urban low development happening in the area. Based on the finding above, staff recommends the approval of this request. And again, if the Planning Commission decides to remove the heavy industrial, then we recommend to include and expand another 110 acres to cover the whole area. I don't know if there's any questions for me.
Commissioners, any questions? I do not have anyone signed up to speak on this item.
So currently, there is residential that has heavy industrial overlay on them.
Yes.
And so the applicant for the next case wanted 10 acres, but then staff decided to move it all to a total of 120 acres.
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
It's not uncommon for staff, after we look into an area and the character of the area has changed, for us to recommend expanding or changing LURAs. We usually do a big Plan OKC update every 2 years, where we look into the whole city and we recommend changes in certain areas. But once in a while, when we receive some CPAs, we have cases like this one.
Can you articulate why it is sort of specifically the area that you chose and not the whole overlay?
So if you go to the LURA map, when we look into the area and when we actually did the study of this area, everything that is not included to the west, we were not able to identify specifically the use that it was there. There's some aggregates and some things that were happening there. And because we didn't have that information at that time, we didn't want to take a risk and just take the heavy industrial and the protection from that area. And that's the reason. We went parcel by parcel I'm trying to identify exactly what was happening on the area that we recommend expansion, and that's why we recommended expansion on that area.
Sorry, we're having technical difficulties again.
Computer has died. Ain't coming back this time.
Jeremy, do you smell fire?
I have a good nose for fire, but I don't smell it yet.
That's why it shut down. so
We
it
do have
doesn't
a
start on
fireman here, so.
I have a cup of water.
I think that's good for electrical fire. isn't it? Keep toast.
All right, well, in terms of the case, we don't have any more visuals on it, but.
Okay.
So, again, as I'm looking at the land use typology map, you know, there's a chunk here that you're recommending be removed from the heavy industrial, but there's still this sort of semi-triangular shape to the east, and some area then to the south beyond Newcastle Road.
So that area to the south, they do have some industries in that area, and that's why we've not recommended expansion to that area. And to the east, we're still looking into it, so we might come back, depending. It's just as for the time that we have for this CPA in specific, we were not able to identify exactly what is happening. So just to prevent, we're not recommending that at this moment, the expansion towards the west.
Right. What I want to say to the other commissioners and to staff for that matter is that, you know, as a commissioner, I found out about this when I get my packet on a Monday. And comp plan amendments are a big deal, and they affect what happens in an area and how it affects other areas around it forever. And I know that I haven't sworn to, you know, uphold the Project OKC, that we make changes, that's what we're here for. But I would like, you know, I think getting it late into the game, not being able to go spend enough time looking around the area, because there is industrial all around this. You're at the end of a runway for the airport, and just, you know, having a couple of days to deal with making this decision is pretty difficult. So I would request that in the future we could get notified about these. When we have a PUD or a SPUD that's going to require a comp plan amendment, that when that application's turned in, maybe we could get a notification.
Maybe.
Any thoughts on that? Agreement?
Absolutely.
I would agree with that. I mean, just knowing what the area is and that there's one proposed before all the due diligence. You know,
Right.
I know staff has to do their due diligence,
Right.
but
And I'm not even asking to know ahead of time what staff's recommendation is going to be, just so that we can know about it and start doing some homework on it.
So what we can do is that we usually notice 15 days ahead of time. At least 15 days, I usually try to notice a little.
So this would have been on the development reviews that go out, the CPA?
We noticed in the journal,
Okay, that's why, another reason why I didn't
yeah. But
find
what I
out
mean
about
is,
it.
when I prepared that notice, I can
Okay,
let you guys know.
okay, maybe,
But for this specific area, we look into it, like I said, parcel by parcel, and the industrial that is in that area is light industrial, that it falls within the policy for urban low. So that's what we thought, it was not an issue, because there's not a problem with the use and the Plan OKC policy for urban low.
right. And I don't profess to be a professional on comp plan amendments and the LUDA types and the overlays and all that, but I do have a quick question. I know we have a case following this that is application for rezoning on what we're speaking of right now. But if we did not, if this was just a CPA removing heavy industrial off of it, could heavy industrial still, it doesn't change the zoning type, heavy industrial could still come in there, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, any other comments, commissioners?
I don't see any.
Okay. I'm fine with moving forward on this case on the CPA. We do have staff recommended approval. It doesn't limit the type of use in the other area of the 120 acres. So with that being said, I will move to approve CPA 2026-0003.
I have a motion to recommend approval of CPA 2026-03 by Commissioner Meek. It's been seconded by Commissioner Privet. Please cast your votes.
Thank you.
And that is recommended for approval. We're now ready for item 12.
Okay, item 12 is the associated zoning case to the last item. It's PUD 2134, an application to rezone 4200 Southwest 29th Street from I-2 and the AE2 overlay to PUD 2134 and the AE2 overlay.
Good afternoon, Mark Zitzow with Johnson & Associates, 1 East Sheridan Avenue. I appreciate staff on the last one. It's not often that we get to stand up here and be in agreement on the comp plan amendment, so this was a pleasant case to work with them on. When we look at the PUD, what we're asking for is a multifamily development that is half a mile from Tulsa Park, 1.5 miles from Woodson Park, 1.5 miles from the river trails, and a 1/4 mile off of Meridian Avenue, which is a major job center for this portion of the city. There's a significant number of hotels, restaurants, not even counting the airport immediately to the south. So we think it is wholly inappropriate use for this particular site. I know you can't see the site plan, but what I would point to is immediately south of us, as Benary mentioned, is residential development. If you went less than a 1/4 mile to our east and north, there's a large residential neighborhood. And if you went another 1/2 mile to our west, you would see another single-family residential development. And I think just over a 1/2 mile to our north, you would see another multifamily project. So by no means is this introducing multifamily in an area that has never seen it before. What was mentioned was what is around us. Yes, there is industrial, but our immediate surroundings are not an I-3 heavy industrial user. It is a lot of smaller scale warehouse, office type of uses, which we believe is wholly compatible, which is partially why the developer has sought this project. He believes it's a growing part of the city. And I know that there's been conversations about the Meridian Placemaking Study. Our firm completed that study last year. It's maybe been about a year to the day that that was adopted by City Council, which seeks to redevelop the Meridian corridor from Airport Road all the way up to Reno. What that means is redevelopment. And while this particular tract was not in it, it is just outside of that boundary. And when you do things like that, it signals to the development community and to the neighbors that the city is preparing to reinvest and reimagine a corridor. So I think that this is the type of project that follows the city investing in planning, putting additional dollars into the bond, relooking at public transportation. If the RTA vote passes, we're talking fixed rail on this corridor. So to be a 1/4 mile or a 1/2 mile potentially off of a fixed rail stop makes this an ideal site for multifamily development. So in terms of the TEs, we agree with TE1 with the understanding that that is, again, referencing the concrete drive approach onto Southwest 29th. We are in agreement with TE2 to increase the setbacks. TE3, we are in agreement, but we would ask that the TE be amended to say the 10-foot wide landscape buffer shall be required along the south boundary, and that landscape buffer shall consist of deciduous trees planted on 30-foot centers. And then TE4, we are asking for the first portion of that TE to be struck and just leave it at the maximum building height for structures within this PUD shall be 45 feet. We increased that southern setback to give more room from the right-of-way, across the right-of-ways where the houses are. So we believe that increasing the setback is what allows us to kind of go up to that 45 feet. So happy to answer any questions, but we would ask for your approval today.
On the third TE, so did I hear you right? The south, you said revise it to only be the south boundary and removing the east and west?
correct. The south boundary is where there's existing residential.
Right. But if we have industrial zoned spaces, parcels to the east and west, we're not going to.
We'll have screening. We will have, the PUD requires fencing and screening along our boundaries.
Okay.
And I apologize, I did need to add one additional TE that was requested. The use of concrete board shall be limited to 40% of the building facades.
Commissioner Meek, this is your ward. I have 2 people signed up.
Okay, can we hear from them, please?
Sure. We'll start with Mike Jolly. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Mike Jolly, the address is 3101 South Lakeside Drive, just west of this project. And thank you for your time today. I just wanted to voice my opposition to the zoning change at 4200 Southwest 29th. My family owns numerous industrial properties in this area within a half mile of this location. Concerns that I have, and I apologize, I just heard about this over the last 24, 36 hours. I really would like to learn more about the project and understand it better. The concerns are traffic will be introduced on 29th, especially if there's not a traffic light. And I apologize, I couldn't hear everything that was said about the project. The possibility of younger people, if this is an apartment project, the possibility of younger people in the area in an industrial neighborhood is not, I don't think, a good idea. Again, just in understanding, I'd like to understand the apartment or housing project better. What kind of, what's a group that it's going to attract? We have a lot of issues in the area with break-ins, vandalism, people roaming the streets at night causing problems now. And I'd really like to, again, understand more of what we're looking at. Changing the zoning within an industrial neighborhood is not going to increase the value of our industrial properties, in my opinion. My goal is to protect my investment and my family's investment. Understanding this project moved forward, a Texas company would handle the construction with our Oklahoma taxpayer dollars. I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard that. I would at least like to have more time to understand the reason for the zone change and understand the project and its impact. And that's really it for me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Jolly. I'll respond to a couple of those. When we look at these cases, I mean, what is within our purview is that this is going to be multifamily residential, not what the tenants are. And then as far as where the developer's from, we don't look at that either. So that's all information that we don't have any say over. So, okay. Robert Parmley.
How you doing today?
Good afternoon.
I've been in the area since 79.
Can I ask you to start with your name and address for the record, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I've been in the area since...
Can I ask you to start with your name and address, please?
Okay, my name is Robert Parmley. My address is 11100 Northwest 113th Street in Yukon, Oklahoma. I own the property next to Mr. Waggle. I have the 20 acres. And some of my concerns are the same as the previous man. A lot of people drive fast. There's a lot of late night activities that are probably not lawful, or unlawful, that'll go around in that neighborhood. I basically haven't done much with the land. It's zoned, I'm pretty sure my property's zoned commercial. I've been raising horses and alfalfa grass and catfish on the property most of my life. So I would just kind of be the same concern. I don't see what's going on with the maps or the landscaping, or if there'll be fencing to protect my animals. That's some of my concerns, you know. Like I said, there is a lot of fast traffic on Southwest 29th. I've seen numerous accidents, and you need to slow it down, put some stop signs or some stoplights up if you plan on putting a lot of people there, you know, in one area. But I know I can't stop progress, and I don't intend to. Everything changes in time. So my biggest concern is that my neighbors all approve, the neighbors I've had my whole life down there. And it's just, I see the property now, what's going on, but now when you talk about landscaping and all this other stuff, what is that gonna look like? This is what it's gonna look like now? You've got it up finally?
That's an exhibit. We go by what's written in the application, not necessarily what the picture looks like.
Okay, so on this side, where that barn and the long property is that all parking with buildings running down the middle?
I believe that's what it's supposed, down the middle is parking and buildings are shown on the outside. But as our chairman said, the exhibit's just a pretty picture. You can't take that to the bank. What we have to read about is what's in the black and white.
Okay, well, the line down the center, there's a building in the front, and then there's a line down the center. Is that line down the center, is that buildings? Is that considered buildings?
Mark, can you help him?
May I answer your question? Yeah. Sure. So the building and the parking are showing up very similar on this screen. You have a building that fronts 29th Street. That's the leasing office, the clubhouse. And then there's a green belt that's through the center of the parking lot, and it's parking on either side. And the buildings are on the exterior side of that parking.
Okay.
So you can kind of see the white lines are drive arrows.
So these square things are the buildings? Those
Yes.
rectangle, okay. So how tall are the buildings?
Well, I'm going to ask, Mr. Parley, if you could, we want to be able to hear your questions and record them. So if you could go to this other microphone over here, the far podium, there you go. And then we can both hear, we can hear and capture both of what you're saying. So go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I just wondered how tall buildings are.
We have sought 45 feet,
That's 3 stories, right?
3 to 4 stories depending, yes. Roof pitch,
And the offset on the east side is, the request is 5 feet.
And so you're also going to have 2 entrances, huh? In the front, or 1?
we have, do you just want me to answer it?
Yeah, just answer.
We have 2 drives off of 29th Street, and then 1 correction. We agreed to the TE for the west setback to be 10 feet.
The west and the south.
South 15.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, 2 drives are on both fence lines. You got 1 on each fence line, correct?
That's correct.
Nothing in the back, facing the neighborhood?
We are not taking access through the neighborhood to the south.
The only 2 entrances would be on Southwest 29th.
So is this going to be fenced all the way around? How high is the fence?
It's a minimum of 6 feet, maximum of 8 feet, and it will be fenced.
Okay, maximum would probably be required for my farm animals.
Okay, we'll take that under consideration.
Maximum safety fence. I know there's a fence that is a shared fence. I've been taking care of that my whole life. But if there's going to be something like this, I need a really secure fence to keep those people away from my animals.
You're the property just to the east, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Ms. Parmalee, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, is there going to be a bus stop in the front of that apartment complex on that 50-mile-an-hour street? Well, there's one in the back, but there's no entrance in the back. So how will that work for the kids? Are you going to slow the street down and put a street light up?
We're going to talk about some things.
Okay.
All right. Is that it?
You know, one last thing. I guess there's city sewer and all utilities have been brought there. Pretty much, they're on the other side of the street. I know they've ran up in front of my property and they've stopped right at my driveway. I don't know exactly what they stopped there, but.
Right. If this is approved, they have to have all city utilities.
Okay. Can I get a copy of this for my records, or?
It's available online. The
Online.
packet, the whole application is available online at okc.gov.
Okay.
And I can give you my email. I'm happy to send over the documents as well. I'm also happy to meet between now and council. But I think I can address a lot of the points and questions that have been raised.
Okay. All right.
But now on that fence, it needs to be a solid fence that can keep back at least 2,000-pound animals. Now, I'm not talking like something from Home Depot. It's got to be, it's got to come out of pocket, you know.
Okay.
If there's going to be something 3 stories up in the air now. You know,
Well, I'm sure that's going to be part of our
gonna
discussion.
Visit. Yeah, we're going to visit about it, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Parmalee.
Thank you.
Okay, that's everyone that I have signed up to speak. So,
Okay, let me
Jeremy,
jump- yeah.
Commissioner Meek, if you'd like to lead our conversation.
Yeah, it's, you know, I know it seems like it, I'm not an R4 multifamily apartment hater, but this is a perfect example of if I'm telling any development person listening, if you're going to come at Ward 3 with a R4 multifamily and you have a neighbor next door that owns a farm that big, you should have had a meeting with him already, period. We shouldn't have to be dealing with stuff like that here during Planning Commission. I can go through the TEs. I can let you respond to anything he said first, and then we can go through the TEs. I agree with this gentleman that the fence needs to be upgraded on the east side for sure to a masonry fence. There is no bus stop. I did speak to the applicant's representative about the concern of the speed limit on 29th and these 2 entries and exits and everybody trying to get out. There's a lot of things concerning about this application to me that I would be interested in hearing your response and other commissioners' responses.
Sure, so I'll start with traffic. I don't think it's best practice to put a public traffic signal at the entrance of a private development that serves one user that does not serve the greater community, nor do I believe that it would be warranted. The traffic counts right now on Southwest 29th Street are about 8,800. We would anticipate, you know, on the conservative side, 1,100 additional trips per day on that street with the units that we're proposing. And so I don't think a traffic signal would be warranted. I also don't think it makes sense to put it at the entrance of a neighborhood. The street as designed today can handle in excess of 17,000 cars per day. We're at 8,800. Adding in the additional 1,100 is not going to trigger this section of road falling to a level of service lower than B. So I don't believe that traffic is going to be an issue any more than it is a perceived issue today. I think I resent the fact that young people or folks living in an apartment generate crime. As the person who led the placemaking study, we heard for over a year about the unhoused population, the crime. I understand it is real and it exists. What curbs that is developing vacant properties, not having encampments occur on underutilized, vacant, abandoned, unmaintained properties. So Bringing new development will absolutely help solve that issue. In terms of bus stops, we've had a conversation with Embark. The city, if you are unaware, departments are taking a 1% budget cut. So right now they are more focused on maintaining existing service levels, not expanding. However, they are looking, because of the RTA, the Olympics, and then each time that new developments occur, they revisit and potentially revise bus routes. So if there were 250 new apartments here, that may impact the route that's currently just to our west. We don't know that, we can't guarantee that, but we've had those conversations with Embark. In terms of what is this gonna look like, I understand it's a conceptual site plan. The PUD does require a specific plan be required, so before dirt is turned, we will be coming back before you and showing you in detail the fences, the dumpster locations, the buildings, the elevations, the architecture. You will see all of that before anything else happens. Did I miss? Oh, and in terms of the fence, I mean, I think we talked about that. We're happy to amend the fence to be a stained cedar capped on galvanized post fences, but we cannot agree to a masonry wall surrounding the property.
I didn't say surrounding the property, but we've agreed to that many times on R4 developments where they abutted, especially farm animals, railroad tracks, etc.
I understand there may be farm animals. That land is zoned as industrial.
Just real quick regarding fence height. So under the existing I2 or I3 zoning for the neighbor, it would be a 10-foot maximum. They're lowering it. So if you want anything higher than the 8 feet, then you would need to write that into the PUD.
Okay.
But the industrial zoning district would allow that. Our PUD and base zoning would say max of 8 foot.
Correct. I'm just
Yeah.
saying if they want to go higher than 8, if they want you or you want to go higher than 8 feet, it needs to be put into the PUD.
Sure.
Right, but you're saying it could go to 10, right?
Currently, the existing, so in industrial zones, the maximum height is 10.
Is 10,
Everywhere
yeah.
else, it's only 8.
Right, okay.
Mark, can you explain to me T number 4, how and why that you want to disregard the base zoning regulations on how high a building can be as you're moving away from a residential property line? You're just wanting to set it, I believe, with T4 at 45 feet, and then at your setbacks you're requesting that we're going to revise, you could go straight to 45 feet, correct?
Correct. So the way the base zoning district, it's arguably the most complicated and difficult to measure of any of our base zoning districts because it's measured at a 45-degree angle on a bulk plane.
Right.
So it's not as simple. So we've increased the setback on that south side so that we can have 45 feet for the southern buildings. What the code does not provide for is a cap on the building height, which we have placed. So while we're asking to go up where we would normally have a minimum, we've also put a hard cap where based on the surroundings of the north side of the property, we would not have otherwise had a cap.
Okay.
So what you were just saying is that what is it, a 15-foot setback on the south would allow, by code, a 45-foot tall building against R1?
No, that's what we're requesting.
Right. But I thought you said that it would have allowed that by
So,
code.
it's
Because
not-
code would allow a 20-foot one-story.
20-foot one-story is what code would allow if we're within 70 feet?
60.
60 feet.
Okay, so, yeah, do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
I think I can do it, Ed. Because he's right, it is complicated for height. So in the R4 district, within the first, it's 20, you're limited to 20 feet and 1 story within the first 60 feet, and then it goes on a bulk plane for the next 15 feet. And then once you get 75 feet out, then there's no height limit. So in this case, when staff was reviewing it, we were looking at it as a 10-foot setback on the south and then immediately up to 45 feet. RTE in number 4 is saying follow base zoning, which would mean that they would have to do the step down. They're asking to delete. I don't think it would be a modification. I think you would just delete TE4 and then you would have just what you've already proposed, which is 45 feet. But then they are also agreeing to increase the south setback. So to 15 feet. So you'd be at 15 feet, and then yes, you could go up to 45 from their south property line.
And that's measured from the residential property line across the right-of-way of the R1. Normally, I think when we're having these discussions, you are sharing a property line and you don't have the additional room in between you that's stepping you back.
Right, they were getting credit for having the street there. The R1 would be measured from the properties on the south side of the street.
So probably 50-foot right away, and then 15-foot?
That, I have not pulled that plat to confirm the width of the right-of-way, but
Guessing.
that's a standard residential street right-of-way.
I can't confirm that sitting here, but it typically is a 50-foot right-of-way.
Okay. I also have a concern about, in the screening regulations under 9.4, it says said site-proof screen may be a combination of natural plant screening, and then it lists different types of fences. If this was to recommend approval to city council, I would want it needs fences. I don't count landscaping as a fence.
We're in agreement with that if we need to TE it.
Okay.
As long as we're talking about landscaping and screening, I do have an issue with the removing basically the landscape on the east and the west. As I understood it, the TE said required along south, east, and west, and that was the east and west boundaries was going to have landscape removed.
So we'll still be landscaping those areas because the landscape code will require us to have a significant amount of landscaping based on the size of the parcel and the number of parking spaces. So landscaping is still going to occur. We are just seeking to eliminate the buffer and the straight tree lines going down the east and west property lines.
What's the code for R4 against I-1 setback?
I knew you were going to ask that. There,
5 foot it's just non-starter for me on the east side.
We've already agreed to the TE that amends it.
East?
Yes, east and west. We agreed
To
to
10.
increase it to the staff's recommendation. And 15 on the south.
And looking, I understand it's a picture, but looking at the current site layout, like I want to see the parking on the outside to buffer and have the buildings down the center, is what I would like to see.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about putting apartments 10 feet from heavy industrial. I mean, it's the heaviest industrial we have. I know it's a horse farm right now.
Yeah, I don't know that we get to cut it both ways, that we're putting multifamily in the heaviest of industrial, but then also say that it's a farm, also say that it's R1 to the south of us, that it's car
I mean,
storage
I'm
on
looking
one
at
side.
it as what it is. It's I-30. I mean, it's heavy industrial.
Yeah, we're looking at zoning, and we have an auto recycling facility to the west property line.
So to Commissioner Clare's point, if we need to review the building placement at the specific plan, we're happy to. This is conceptual. This is not the final site plan. So we can go back to the architecture team with the TE that'll be specifically reviewed, knowing that that is your preference, and they can work to redesign it to shift around the parking. I don't believe that's going to be a major concern or issue with how this is currently laid out.
So in agreeing with a number to the setback, I think would guarantee that to happen. So we need to just decide on what that is.
Yeah, bigger.
So that's why I asked the question of what it would be, because Market is zoned I-3 to the east, and that is the heaviest.
Right. I'm not trying to pick on you, Mark. I have a question, a legitimate question, that this is the first time we've heard this case, but you have a client that can't take a deferral because of a contract issue, which is pretty bold to not have a better contract date than that on a contingency. But there's a lot that we need to be working on, I still believe.
And I have no doubt that your involvement with the city councilwoman over the next 6 weeks, we would absolutely get there.
So I need to know more about what your deadline is then. What, you said you have some application or something? Tell me more detail about the urgency.
So my understanding based on the call from our client earlier was that it is not a contractual deadline to close. It is an application with OFA. There's an application window that is open that closes in June. So we have to be through City Council for this site to show that it is entitled so it can qualify for different funding mechanisms.
By OFA, Oklahoma Housing and Finance?
Oklahoma
Agency?
Housing Finance Authority.
Oklahoma City or Oklahoma, State of Oklahoma?
The State of Oklahoma Housing Finance Authority.
Ends in June, and that's the last ever, or that's just maybe the next one is in June, and otherwise there may be one 3 months later, or 6 months later, or a year later? Or is that the last time in the future that that is possible?
I'd have to ask them that question.
I mean, I know something about the agency, and it's the kind of thing that might be that, yes, that's the next convenient opportunity is June, but it may or may not be, so I wish you knew the answer to that, because I need to know if that's actually a drop dead date or not.
All I can say is I'm told that it is. But if you want to kick this to the end of the docket, I'm happy to call the client and get more information about OFA's application windows.
Okay, I'll jump up. My problems with this case are really more about just the leftover uneasiness I feel about plopping residential down in the middle of uses that are not compatible with it, industrial being sort of the top of that list. Without knowing more about what's going on in the area, including the plan for the corridor or whatever, that would suggest that this is actually, this area is trending in a different direction. What I see, and your comment about the gentleman's question and comments about young people and illegal activity and that sort of thing, I took in absolutely the opposite way that you did. I wasn't hearing him suggest that putting those people here would cause those problems. I was hearing this might not be the best place for a residential development if there are, issues of crime and so on in the area, that it just might not be the safest place in the world. But anyway, be that as it may, you can say all you want to about how there's housing around you, but when I look at my lonely little, map, what I see is an awful lot of what looks like industrial and semi-industrial development. So I'm having a hard time getting here on this.
The residential I was talking about, this is not zoomed out quite far enough, but to the northeast, you see all that R1. That is a fairly large residential neighborhood. And then on the corner of Southwest 29th and Meridian, there's the C3. And then there is another large single-family residential neighborhood there. Beyond that, there's a mobile home development. And then, of course, there's the R1 immediately to our south. You can make the case that the city's policy decisions over the last 40 years has been to plop industrial into a residential area based on the age of those homes. And so when we look at these areas of town that are either about to transition or we hope to transition to higher and better uses, some project has to be first. And Commissioner Powers, you and I have talked about at length on multiple occasions, north of Chesapeake, that was single family, that trended industrial and office warehouse, that is now trending back residential. These things do happen, but one project is gonna be the first one there. I think we're not the only residential in the area.
You're right, they do happen, but those conversations that we've had have been mostly about how surprising it is, rather than that it's a norm. And I
would just say it's surprising in that area because there's been no study that would indicate to people that things might be happening right here. Meridian did have a study and then was further backed up by a bond and the city planning department's current efforts to get a business improvement district on the Meridian corridor. So this is like, well, we're looking at this as a one-off project. We're a quarter mile off of a corridor that the city is saying, let's invest either through city money or private development funds.
Right.
the city hasn't told me anything about that. I wasn't part of that study. I haven't read that study. Can you explain what a business improvement product means?
Sure. A business improvement district is a self-tax that the businesses along Meridian and the defined boundary would pay into. So it's an additional tax that they pay that would go towards security, landscape, cleanup, maintenance. If you're familiar with downtown, that's where most of our bids are. Downtown OKC Partnership manages the green team. You may have seen them walking around with trash cans. They do homeless outreach. Those are the types of things that the Meridian business owners, through the stakeholder engagement, were hoping to see if a bid was to ultimately work its way through.
Okay, and I'm getting there. I promise we're getting there for a decision one way or the other, but I take offense to the comment about the R1 that's to the south of this site. That's some planning commission members in 1970 let a development get there, or it just got built there and then had to be fixed later. Without researching it, we have no idea how houses got there. But to me, from looking at this map and looking at what's up on your screen, this area is trending I-2 more than anything. Any thoughts?
I just say in the last 18 years, there have been 4 buildings built in the immediate vicinity of this, and they were all smaller scale industrial office warehouse buildings. This is not trending I-3 by any means. We are not seeing these larger parcels get bought up by Amazon warehouses and distribution centers. These parcels aren't large enough for that. And so when you look at 29th Street, the new buildings that are there, I think I counted from the 2008 Google map, there's 4 new ones, and they all look to be under 12,000 square feet.
Well, I said I-2, and you're talking from what area to what area?
So along 29th, from Meridian to our eastern boundary, there have only been 4 buildings in the last...
You're talking on 29th, though, correct?
On 29th.
Okay, well, if you go down Vermont and Utah and everything across the street from where this apartment complex is going to be, it is office, heavy warehouse, outdoor storage.
A city park.
It's still I-2 and I-3, all everything to the north, everything.
Yeah, understood.
Okay, well, we've heard from some concerned citizens. I think the T's are still a mess. I don't know where any of you other commissioners are and how you feel regarding this, but I'd like to check your pulse on it.
I'll go first. First, I want to set the setbacks. I think that's very, very important. And I'll say this, Mark, as this is the first residential development, new development in this area, I would rather see it be something that is something that the additional, as it gets developed, strive to become, not something at the bottom. And so that's my ask of why I would like greater setbacks and more potential landscaping. So I need to know what the number is on the setbacks that we could get, and then what the landscape buffers would be within them.
Sorry, are you beyond what staff had recommended and we agreed to?
I keep looking for that. Where is it?
It's TE number 2.
So yeah, 15 and 10, is that what that is?
Correct.
Yeah. Additional. That's why I asked about what the standard would be. I mean, it's just so close to I-3, and it is zoned I-3.
And it means they could put an apartment building 10 feet away.
From a new asphalt plant or something, I don't
Yeah.
know, but just something.
From
I
the-
go to that because there's one over there on Melrose, right by that concrete plant.
Right, that was R4 that got denied.
Is there a particular setback number that you're recommending? And if you can go back to the site
That's why I was
plan.
kind of just wanting to see what the code was.
She's looking.
So I mean, we have the room, we have the green space in the middle. We can
That's
squeeze
what I mean.
that in.
I know.
And
You
move
can
it to
do
the
it. I just
outside.
want to put it in the PUD.
I just need a number, and one of the TEs that I think where we were heading was building and parking placement shall be specifically reviewed at the specific plan stage. My guess is what ends up happening is exactly what Commissioner Claire said, which is those parking fields get moved to the perimeter and the buildings end up with the green courtyard in between them. So I think we just need a number to amend TE2 to the setback that you all desire.
Mark, you've got, is it double-loaded parking you're showing there? It's kind of hard to tell.
Yes,
I mean, that's 60 feet.
correct.
And if you move that to the outside, that gives you a 60-foot setback.
I'd probably prefer to see a 42-foot setback, so that if we do one row of parking and one drive aisle, I know it's not extremely common, but a 60-foot setback on the perimeters really squeezes in the site.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to, I want to see, they've gone through, they added deciduous trees, 30 foot on center, but that was just for the south boundary. I want to see it all the way around, and you're going to need a minimum of 10 feet landscape buffer on those three sides to get those deciduous trees. So I would like to see 10-foot landscape buffer, and then the parking, whatever, if it's one bay and a drive aisle, so if it's 44 feet, then that's fine.
42.
42,
52 overall.
yeah.
Yeah, so 52 total.
If we're moving the parking to the outside, all of the parking lot landscaping points are gonna be on the perimeter.
Right.
And
Well,
so,
It's my
I don't know.
opinion, if we don't do what we're talking about doing right now, then TE4 is going to get real crazy, because we're not going to ignore the base zoning district regs and just go to 45 feet.
Sarah, what's the distance to get up to 45 feet from?
60, right?
You guys, okay, between 0 and 60 feet is 20 feet in one story. Then it's a bulk plane between 60 to 75, and then
You're at
after
least
70
60,
You're
period.
at least 60.
Before you could
And
even
then it's
talk
like-
about it over one story.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
I'm saying we have the right-of-way and a 15-foot setback.
On the
Okay,
south side.
I'm talking east and west.
Well, east and west, that doesn't apply because there's not R1 on those boundaries that would dictate our height. We would have unlimited height once we were away from the R1.
Yeah, what's making this challenging is you have I-1 on the south, and then you have I-2 and I-3 on your east and west. There's no screening requirement or step down in height or anything required when you put the R4 next to the I. It's the other way around. Putting the R4 makes it so that the industrial zones would then be the ones that would screen and.
So this I-3 lot to the east that the gentleman has
Right.
farm animals, if they come in and tried to build something I-3 that's legally zoned to be built, they would suffer because of the PUD that we approved.
They would have regulations that would require a step down in height from the R4. I'll double check that, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. But then the opposite is true on the south. The
Right.
opposite is true. When you're R4 adjacent to R1, then the R4 has the burden of the step down and the screening and the landscaping.
Right.
So what's the setback between I-3 and R4?
So that's also complicated. So R4 has a side yard setback of 5 feet and a rear of 15. The I2 has it's a greater setback in the I2 if you're next to R4 of 25 feet in I2.
So we can get that.
Yeah.
You want to give us the 25-foot setback on our side, so a future industrial user, if this
That's where I was
ever
going.
ever seeks to develop, we would have it. They could go seek a variance and say they provided it based on this hearing on this day. Mark said.
And it also dictate where you put the parking lot. I mean, so,
Or it's all going to turn into residential if we go with the thought process of what.
yeah, the future could
Yeah.
be, right. But
that-
it still designates where the parking lot can go on this plan.
Agree.
So I think I got it, if you want me to read it. We agree to TE1. TE2, we will amend for the east and west setbacks to be 25 feet and the south to be 15. Revise the landscape regulations to where the landscape buffer is only required on the south. And then I think we're still deleting TE4, then we're adding TE5 to limit concrete board to 40% of the facade materials. TE6, perimeter fencing shall be required to be stained capped cedar fence on galvanized posts. And then TE7 would be building and parking placement shall be specifically reviewed at the specific plan stage.
Almost. We're getting there, though. So, I still like the idea of a landscape buffer on the
East
east and west side, within the 25 feet,
Yeah, right.
but a documented landscape buffer. And I want to go over the detail on the fencing more.
You want more detailed than a stained
Yeah, I
capped cedar
do,
fence
because
on
I
galvanized
want
posts?
the stained cedar fence along the south, and I'll give it to you along the west, but on the east, I want more. We did it between the school and an apartment complex. I think you can do it between a farm with heavy animals and this apartment complex.
So we're in agreement that we can, however you want to say it, the landscape buffer on the east and west, because that's normal for parking lots to have the landscaped area there. Can you repeat what is it that you're desiring for the fence? I'm not sure I followed.
Masonry.
We can't agree to masonry. We can agree to going to 8 feet as the minimum, but we can't agree to doing a masonry wall.
Precast.
We can't.
Wood stockade is what is basically the max you can go?
Yes, with the additional restrictions that we put on it, that makes it a longer lasting wood fence that isn't something you go buy at Walmart or Home Depot or where people buy fences.
What are those
cedar.
conditions?
It has to be cedar, it has to be stained, and it has a cap on it, and on galvanized posts, not wooden posts.
What I would say is that the picket material needs to be 1 inch.
Sure.
That's an upgrade, but it's not masonry. But it's better than being able to buy prefabbed panels, for sure. I don't know, yeah.
8 foot, you're gonna have to have 4, you're gonna have to have a bottom rail and a top rail and 2 intermediate.
Right.
So you've got 4 rails with 1 inch stock for pickets. It's gonna be pretty sturdy.
Okay.
Did you say with 1 inch pickets? Is that the
1 inch thick.
Thickness. That's not the half inch that you get at the big box stores.
So it's revising TE2 to have 25-foot setbacks with a 5-foot landscape buffer within it. And then we are amending the fence language to be a stained capped cedar fence on galvanized post with minimum 1 inch thick pickets
8 foot tall.
and 8 foot tall.
What about TE number 4? What are you guys' thoughts on just being able to go?
Well, and I want to deal with the architecturals just a little bit too. I wanted to remove the architectural metal from the 70, which is probably good. And you already decreased the cement board. I want to decrease the wood to the same.
Wood?
Wood.
Sure.
Or similar materials to 40.
So we're decreasing wood to 40. Are you eliminating metal or moving metal down to the 40?
30.
30, sorry.
Because it already exists.
Yeah. But you're moving metal and wood down to 30. Okay.
And adding concrete board into 40? Okay.
Those Bobbies. Let's limit the stories instead of the height.
We need up to 4.
How about you do, you took away the perimeter. Okay. I can do it.
4 stories. And you're limited at 350?
250.
I mean, 250, that's right. I couldn't read my own writing.
Yeah. So 25 dwelling units per, is that right?
What do we think? Are we there?
My head hurts. All right. Looks like this is a go. I'm going to have you read everything back in. If anybody hears anything that doesn't agree, that we've pre-agreed with. Looks like we're going to be moving some R4 into our industrial corridor here on 29th Street. I'd advise you that you speak to the council person and possibly the people that have spoken against today, because a lot can happen. And for all the people that are still sitting out here, another case coming up, this is what we do. We try to make it as good of a product as we can, but a lot can happen between now and council, and it is a council decision. We are a recommending body, and I know it's hard, and you guys we all fight this every time, but we're looking at land use rights and entitlement, and we're trying to put as many guardrails on it as we can to make it a better product, and then it leaves us from here and goes to council. So with that being said, I'm going to ask to recommend approval to City Council for PUD 2134 with the TEs being read in by Mr. Zitzel one more time.
Okay. Stop me if there's an edit here. We agree to TE1. TE2, we agree with an amendment that the east and west setbacks be 25 feet. TE3, we agree to on 10 feet on the south side, the east and west would be 5 feet. On the south, it would be deciduous trees planted on 30-foot centers. TE4 is struck. TE5, we're limiting concrete board to 40%, and we're moving the architectural metal and wood to the 30% categories. We are requiring a stained capped cedar fence on galvanized posts with minimum 1-inch thick pickets on the PUD boundaries, and then TE...
8 foot tall.
And a minimum of 8 feet tall. And then the final TE, building and parking placement shall be specifically reviewed at the specific plan stage, which I think captured everything.
The fence, you probably want to do south, east, and west, but not across the north.
Agreed, thank you.
And one last question for me on striking T number 4. Is there anything baked into this PUD that sets the stories or the height if we remove that TE? We need to make sure that's in there.
So we can amend TE4 to say the maximum building height shall be 45 feet and 4 stories.
Yes. If not, it could be unlimited, and then people would really be mad at us.
It'd be very, very small people living in very small ceiling height to get more than 4 stories, but we're fine with the agreement.
All right, that's the motion.
All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Meek to recommend the item to City Council subject to the technical evaluations as read in and amended. It's been seconded by Commissioner Newman. Please cast your votes. And that item is recommended for approval. For the benefits of the neighbors here, look for it to be at City Council in 6 to 8 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 13.
Item 13 is SPUD 1760, an application to rezone 4904 Southeast 104th Street from the AA Agricultural District to SPUD 1760.
Hello, my name is Aaron Hale. I'm with Engineer by Design, 10700 Myers Lane, Choctaw, Oklahoma. We came before you several months ago with this SPUD with a use of a personal storage building, if you will. You guys, it was denied, we understand. We regrouped, met with city staff, and now we're presenting a revised SPUD that utilizes more of a R1 zoning for this piece. Again, a little bit of history on this. This parcel, this tract one, was split over time. It is now owned by two different owners. The owner on the east had purchased or had built a residential unit on a 2.7 acre piece within the AA zoning, which is not allowed but was permitted. And so there's a different owner on the west. That owner on the west is who I'm representing. He is trying to figure out what to do with this parcel. So we are presenting an R1 piece for approval on this. Otherwise, he's looking at using some sort of ag zoning for animals or some sort of farm storage. Any thoughts?
Thank you. Commissioner Privet, this is your ward. I do have two folks signed up to speak.
I figured. Yeah, let's hear from them.
Okay, we'll start with Brian Dewberry.
How are you, James? My name's Brian Dewberry. We live at 4820 Southeast 104th Street. We live directly behind our in-laws. The whole area over there is zoned ag. The gentleman to the east who built his home, I believe, was grandfathered in. There was an existing structure there from 1962. Is that correct? You're grandfathered in? That house was there before 1962?
I have no idea.
So the reason the house there is 2.5 acres, 2.7 acres is because there was an existing structure there. So they were able to build their home. The 1 acre lot, you zone one residential area over there, it just cascades. All of us are required to have 5 acre lots. All of our homes are $500,000 homes over there, except for 4900 Southeast 104th Street. If you look down Granada Lane, there are $1 million and $2 million homes down there, and they want to build a 1,400 square foot home there. You have the Phillips 66 pipeline running through the yard. So what are the health risks involved with a multi-product pipeline running through your lot? And how far away does your house need to be? Because you'll have to have a well and a septic system there as well. We're zoned ag. We have animals. You know, 5 years from now, we're going to have people telling us we can't have animals anymore because everybody's zoned residential. I'm against it. I was required to have a 5 acre lot. Everybody else was required to have a 5 acre lot to build a home. That's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dewberry. James Stroop.
This is my hearing aid. I don't have one. I can't hear unless somebody's right in front of me, so I'm sorry.
All right, we'll try and speak up for you, Mr. Stroop.
This is James Strapp. He lives at 4900 Southeast 104th Street. I'm Sandra Dewberry. I live at 4820 Southeast 104th Street with Brian Dewberry.
Okay.
And this is my parents.
Okay. What would you like us to know?
Pretty much the same thing that Brian said, that we are zoned ag. Everybody else had to have 5 acres. That this is such a small lot. Where's he going to put the well and the septic? This is the gentleman to the west, like Brian was saying. There was an old structure there. They did live in it. They didn't live in it in my time, but you could see where they did live in it at one time. So I could see where he kind of got away with doing that, but we were never sent anything that he built. So I know that's where all that's coming in. We were never asked whether or not he could build, like we are with this. So we did not approve that at all. What else did you want to say?
I moved to the country, and that's what I wanted to stay.
He moved to the country, and that's what he wants it to stay.
Okay.
We don't want people.
20 years.
Yeah. I'm going to inherit their 5 acres. I will have 10 acres in the middle of the city. I want to keep my slice of heaven, okay?
Okay.
Anything else?
Not at this moment. I'm too old for it.
Thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
All right, that's everyone I have signed up to speak. So Commissioner Privet?
Yeah, although this is better than the previous PUD, still not ideal, obviously. I would like to know how it got to be in the state that it currently is in. Previous to the split, it would have been just over 4 acres, looks like, according to the survey. It's a little concerning to me, being just over 1.2 acres with the pipeline easement going through it. I'm not sure how buildable it is, but open for discussion.
Well, I don't think it's on us to determine the buildability of it. It's the land use.
Yeah.
So,
Right. And is it in harmony with the surrounding properties? And I'd have to say no.
I don't think it is, no. So that's where I'm at. Like I said, it's better, but you know, it's doesn't mean it's good. So. I'd be inclined, if we have no more discussion, to recommend denial of this one as well.
well, I'll raise one question. If you look, and I don't know if we can go to the map, back to the zoning map, and you look to the west, I know we can't see parcels, but I mean, on Southeast Fourth, it looks to me like there are smaller parcels and residential that front 104th to the west. Do we know if that's the case?
There's not really that I know of. If there is, they're hidden well.
Well, from that, it looks to be larger.
They're deep lots.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, are you gonna,
Yeah.
does the applicant have any other
You can respond, yes.
response to some of the discussion items?
Yeah, I think our client just wants to know what he can use that land for. So if you guys have any recommendations, or if we need to visit with staff again on this, I don't know if my client has any other comments, but just looking for some ideas on what to do with it.
I mean, I'd try to sell it to the guy next
Let's
door.
not give
Yeah.
recommendations of what somebody does with land they bought, whether they bought it at an auction or otherwise. That is up to them to determine what they can or can't do with it.
Yeah.
When they think they know.
And discuss
And
with
they-
city staff to see what is permitted.
Yeah, I'm not going to start helping an investor figure out how to make the best out of their property.
Yeah, I'd just try to sell it to my neighbor. That's the only thing I can think of. But. Okay, with that, I'll recommend denial to City Council.
All right, we have a motion to recommend denial, City Council, from Commissioner Privet. It's been seconded by Commissioner Noble. Please cast your votes. Remember, a vote yes is a vote to deny. And that item is recommended for denial. Thank you. Item 14.
Item 14 is SPUD 1820, an application to rezone 1714 Northwest 30th Street from R1 to SPUD 1820.
Fallon Brooks Magnus, 11 Northeast 11th Street, representing the applicant. We have a single lot here. It's 7,000 square feet, and we are putting 6 units on it, and this is a big ask. We've previously done something similar, not too far away, at 31st, I think, where we did 4 units on a lot half this size. So some of the things to note is, even though the number of units is pretty high, we're limiting in the master design statement the footprint of all the buildings totaled, and we're limiting the size of the units, and we're also, I think the biggest feedback I got from city staff was about the setback. We have parking in the setback, as do a lot of the homes already existing on this street. And so instead of pulling the buildings forward and having, a shallower setback and then moving all the cars behind, we decided to keep it in line and leave the parking out front, but create a site-proof screening. And this is the only technical evaluation we had to do with the language for the site-proof screening on the front of the lot. The intention is to put in a site-proof fencing that is 4 feet tall with an additional landscape buffer between that and the sidewalk. I think the TE is just asking that we make the language in that more specific, because I think that we're not supposed to have anything that is site-proof within the front part of the lot. So we have to figure out how to write that, but other than that, we didn't have any other technical evaluations. Happy to answer questions.
Commissioner Powers, this is your ward, and I have one person signed up to speak. Okay. Stephen, is it Frosch? Frosch? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Council. My name's Stephen Frosch. I own the property directly across the street from this planned development, and initially I was just going to say that I'm against it, but the more I look at it, the more it's an interesting proposition. I think what I'm against is how many dwellings. I think 6 is excessive. I feel like 4, maybe. There's a duplex to the west already. Otherwise, it's mostly R1 single-family residential. I know my house across the street is single-family dwelling, and it's about 800 square feet. So really the only problem I have with it is the I assume that the double 2 400 square foot units are either left or right or bottom and top. And I think that's what's really excessive. It's forcing, there's 6 minimum parking spaces. So that's 1 parking space per tenant. There is no parking on the street, on either side of the street, no street parking whatsoever. So no visitors, basically. You get your 1 parking spot. But if you did, I think I'm okay. I would be okay with 4 structures if they're 2 stories and a minimum of, I think the bottom 2 units are 700 square feet a piece, which I assume is downstairs and upstairs, which could be kind of cool. Like, 700 square feet isn't crazy, but I think 400 square feet for that's 20 by 20. That's pretty stinking small. I'm not sure what the city codes and ordinances for the minimum are. Like, I don't know how they're the 2 buildings on the south are a foot apart from each other, and I don't know if that meets city code or ordinances as well. But I just wanted to give my input since I have lived on the north side of this property for almost 10 years. And know the area well, and I've in the 10 years from 2014 to 2023 that I lived on the north side of this property, it's kind of funny how there's no street parking, but there is street parking on either adjacent on Indiana and Kentucky, but no one I know or ever had visited was willing to park and walk 4 houses over. Like, you're like, that seems feasible, but in 10 years, no single person I know was willing to do that, except for myself. Like, if I was having people over because there's 1 driveway and can't park on the street, people will run you off that street. So that's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Frosch. Is there anything that you want to say to any of those comments?
Yeah, just a couple of things really quick. So we're limiting the size of these units, and I'm happy to change the language to reflect this. We did a previous SPUD 1588, I think, where we talk about if we're building this many units on this lot, that they are required to be under a certain size. And that worked really well. So if that's the concern is, how many units we're getting on this lot, how big the buildings are, all of that, that is all written into the MDS to force us to build what we're saying we're going to build. So we limit our footprints of the buildings, we limit the number of units, and the number of units, by the way, is calculated in the LUDA. It's 10 to 40 per acre, and we're at about 36, I think. So we're approaching the top of that, but we're below it. And then as far as parking, 1 parking space per unit for units this size is fairly appropriate, because the market that we are trying to get here is, students, people that are in kind of transitional phases of their life where they don't need more than 400 square feet. You're probably not having a lot of guests, a lot of parties. This is also strategically located close to the university. There's not an organized neighborhood in place. That's why we hadn't reached out to any of the neighbors. So Yeah, I think the key here is limiting the footprints of the buildings and making sure that we are, building what we're saying we're going to build. So we've also limited the height on these to 28 feet, which is pretty aggressive. R1 allows for 35. And so that's 28 feet with no flat roofs as well. So.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Powers, this is Ward 2.
This is kind of problematic for me. We were not able to meet for today's meeting. We were not aware that there would be anyone coming to speak. Ms. Brooks Magnus had already indicated that if someone did show up, she'd be willing to take a continuance and work with the neighbors, and I think that's what we need to do. But also, I have comments for her, and if you do, I would like for you to share them. I think 6 units is too many. I'm not very well versed in the joys of micro units, but I'd be willing to listen to that. But 6 is just too many because 6 comes with 6 parking places and so on and so forth. They're doing what they think they can do to make this work on the lot and so on. It's in the middle of a block. These are single-story homes that face the street. There's too many different little bits and pieces here. I don't see anything in the MDS, although maybe I just missed it, that indicated there was no flat roofs. But I have some questions about, for instance, what is signage per code for R3? This is an R3 base, but it indicates that the only uses allowed are single family and 2-family residential, but it's also, for 6 dwelling units. It's just, I'm not quite sure that all makes sense to me. Maybe it does. 16-foot driveway is too wide. The idea of the screening wall out front, it might work some places, and actually I have seen it done and look lovely and work well, but not here. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm in agreement with that. It's just, it puts up a barrier that feels, they've gone to the trouble to set the setbacks or to have the facade align with the other, neighboring residences. And I think we need to hold that. Now, one of the thoughts, and so the reason for that fence is because there's parking in the front. There's 2 spaces.
Yeah.
My recommendation, what I would like to see is that driveway get narrowed and you provide essentially a kind of a parallel space in front of each unit there on what would be the west area. And I think you still have enough room for a driveway to get around those and get to those back 4 spaces. And then that gets those 2 spaces out of the front yard, and you don't need the fence. I think that makes a lot of sense.
So specifically to the driveway problem, so currently this lot has a shared drive with the property to the west, and there's an 8-foot drive there. Now, if we split their drive, let's say we flip this whole thing to the other side, we're still going to need a 16-foot drive for 2-way traffic.
I'm not sure you do.
We have to specify it. If we don't, then we will be married to the minimum for 2-way because we have parking in the rear. So we would actually be required, if we did not call out the 6, we would be required a minimum of 22. Mm-hmm. So that 16-foot is limiting it on
Fallon, I'd
purpose.
just say this, that there's just too many units on an interior lot. And so that changes, some of the parking issues that you'll run into and some of the other.
So to the parking then, let me ask you, if we reduce to 4 units and we have, so one of the things mentioned by our neighbor across the street was the parking spaces. Are we then going to start a discussion about having more than 1 parking space per unit? So 4 would be acceptable and
No.
1 parking space per unit?
Let's not assume 4 would be acceptable.
Okay.
So in the theory that it were acceptable, then we would solve that, but.
Okay.
We talked about continuing this. If you want, I can emphasize even further than all of them. It's not appropriate in this location in the middle of this block. You said students that don't need more than 400 square feet. That sounds like me a long time ago when I lived in an apartment. Sure. And trying to squeeze a whole bunch of people in a residential lot in the middle of this block is inappropriate. And the one neighbor that showed up might be okay with 4. There may be some neighbors that are not okay with 4. And so let's not say it. 4 is acceptable
my
either.
intention.
Yeah.
But it would be acceptable for me. And 4 spots. I'm just saying that is more a consistent pattern that we've seen before on infill in this area.
4 would put us closer to 30 dwellings per acre.
Instead of 37 and a half.
Yeah. No, we did the math on all of them, so we're willing to have that conversation.
Let's have that conversation. Shall we continue
Sure.
this? And you indicated you're not available at the next meeting, so.
I am not, unfortunately.
So the first meeting in May, what day is that?
12th, or
And-
excuse me, 14th.
Okay, and Mr. Brosh, if you would please get with Ms. Brooks Magnus and give her your contact information and/or, I guess I have it, do I? Did you put a phone number on the slip you signed so that we can be in contact as well? Let's arrange something and maybe invite some neighbors and see what we can make of this in the next month. And then after asking, I didn't pay attention. The 14th, is it? What's of May? That can't be the first meeting in May. The 14th, is it?
Yes,
Okay.
it's the second Thursday.
Okay. So I would move to continue item number 14, SPUD 1820 till May the 14th.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Powers to continue the item.
And you have my number, I know.
That's been seconded
so
by Commissioner
if
Milner.
you would make sure Mr. Brosh has
Please
it, that'd
cast
be
your
great.
votes.
Thank you.
All right, next is, that item is continued. Next is item 15.
Item 15 is SPUD 1821, an application to rezone 13020 West Reno Avenue from SPUD 1309 to SPUD 1821.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Michael Tibbetts with Express Development, 7318 Northwest 106th Street. We have been working on this development site since last July. Funnily enough, through one of the OFA funds, we were actually allocated some of that money already. And working through the development design, it's currently zoned for 129 units, minimum 40-foot setbacks from all property lines. Over the last 3 months, we've tried to configure the building in a way that just is a feasible development that doesn't feel overbearing to the neighboring houses. And what they've come up with, the design team, I'm just not happy with. Part of the issue is the shape of the site or the property lines, but that is the reason why we've come before you with what I thought was going to be a few modifications to the existing zoning. Clearly from some of the feedback from the neighborhood, they don't feel so. This is the site plan we're prepared to move forward with. It does allow for 4 stories. We've increased the setbacks significantly by raising that next story. We've established the parking amount, and I believe we've reduced the green space by 3%, from 30 to 27. We think this is a much more feasible design. It puts us much further away from the single family around us. It allows us to push towards what is storage units and retail or commercial up on the frontage. And we see we've got 2 TEs. I believe we agree with both of those. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Meek, this is your ward, and I have about 9 folks signed up to speak.
Okay, I do want to hear from them, and I will say that I want to say a couple things real quick. This one is different than the last apartments we just heard because they currently have the right to build apartments. It's a existing SPUD 1309, and there's nothing we can change about that. So you all got to understand that. Apartments are coming to this location. They've already been approved by planning and council. With that, this gentleman reached out to all the protesters, and I believe I've received 48 protest letters. I've read every one of them. I've been involved in the email chains going back and forth. I did appreciate Mr. Tibbetts trying to schedule 3 Zoom calls for 6 o'clock on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Unfortunately, no one wanted to bite on that. If this was a new apartment R4 application on something that was zoned other than R4, I would be demanding a in-person meeting. But because we already have apartments going to apartments request, I thought with him outlining the only 4 differences in this application versus the old one, I thought the Zoom meeting was sufficient to get on and ask questions. I really did. If that's the case and the deferral still needed, I believe Mr. Tibbetts would give us a deferral, and we could rehear this at a later date, and we could all meet at a church nearby or Canadian County Votech or something like that. But no matter what, apartments are coming to this location. He has the right. With that, I wanted to say that with the right that he has to build the apartments right now, he has the right to build them much closer to your neighborhood fences. So the change off, and I'm telling you right now, it's going to be 60 foot. If I have anything to do with it, it's going to be 60 foot. That's what he's telling people, and that's what we're going to do. So you would get from 40 in a 3-story to 60 in a 4-story. That's the main meat and potatoes of this case, guys. It's not about vehicles. It's not about traffic. It's not about schools. He is holding the same, he is limiting himself. He was limited to 129 units on the previous case, and he's limited to 129 units if he goes a taller building. So he's trading off 3 stories for 4 to give you bigger setbacks with the same amount of apartment units that he has the right to build right now.
Commissioner Meek, I'm sorry. So I'm so sorry. Just for everybody in the audience, Sarah Welch, you know who I am. Okay, sorry. It's a habit. I just want to correct our staff report because the existing SPUD does allow 129 units, and I did not catch until after we printed the staff report that was a mistake. So there is not an increase in density requested for this case, and I just want to make that clear. That's our fault.
Right, it is, and I did verify that. It's 129 to 129. So you can't, it's not worth arguing that there's going to be more apartments, because that's not true. Not more units, okay? And then the last thing, the current zoning would require him to have up to 258 parking spaces, allowing up to 258, and he's limiting them now to 175. So not as many, not as big of a sea of asphalt and or concrete in parking. So I know you're all signed up. I hope that I've addressed some of your concerns. I hope we don't have to hear the same thing over and over. And I welcome your opinions. Your opinions do matter to me. That's why I became a planning commissioner. So with that, we'll hear from the first person.
Okay. We'll start with Diane Jameson.
My main concern, Diane Jameson, I live at 309 Durkee Road. My main concern is the same thing that happened the last time they put it in to be apartments. What's going to happen to the people that are living in the apartment? That's where my background comes from. And in our particular area, we have no public transportation. There is no public parks or libraries or recreational stuff anywhere in our area other than what is in the different subdivisions that are put up by the HOAs. Also, that there is not a lot of employment opportunities in our particular area. Now, you're going to and with no public transportation, how are the people that are living there going to get to jobs? I just think that there's got to be a little bit more planning and look at the big picture before, what's going to happen to the people that you're going to want to live in those apartments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jameson. Daniel Gattazaro?
Good afternoon, council members.
Good afternoon.
I'm a resident of Oklahoma City my name is Daniel Catanzaro, and I live at 312 Durkee Road in Oklahoma City, Yukon, and Summers Point, and I'm here with a lot of my neighbors today. We're finding out about this. Some of us have been here a long time, Kathy, and some of us have been here 1 to 4 years. So we do understand that it's been rezoned from SPUD 1309 to now to 1821. We do understand that people will be living all around us in the future. We do understand that Ward 3 is one of the larger wards on the perimeter, and it has capacity to handle a lot. But being out on there isn't that much on the perimeters right now. I don't know how it's zoned, but there is agriculture, there is commercial, all one story. It's discount cigarettes and chain pizza. And a pharmacy is 2 miles away with no sidewalk connection right now. So things like that. So that said, I know they have to make some concessions with the spacing of the parking lots, or the driveways, actually. Oh, wow. So I understand in the city report they need to expand that to the safety of the 200 feet. I'm not sure about base zoning and setbacks, but I do understand there was a 3-story apartment complex slated, maybe a warehouse for that or part of that, zoned up to R4, which is unlimited, 4 stories. I know they want to do 50 feet or 50 feet 6 inches, and we're not happy about that. We're happy about, it's going like gangbusters out there. A block to the north in Settlers Ridge corner, they built modest dozen plus two-family duplexes, 2-story duplexes, which probably have about 80 or 90 cars going to be in those driveways. To Mustang Road, the closest 4-story building to us is the Park Place Senior Living, which is very well done. It's offset to the laundry room from not even a stained cedar 1-inch picket fence. There's a small wrought iron fence. The existing homeowners are there. It's 106 feet to the laundry room, and to the residents, it's 160 feet to the 4-story. I know we're in a 3-story building right now, and I could see the bus stop from here. So we have homes that are right in this parking lot. It looks like the spots are facing my backyard here. And it looks like there's I know there's less parking. 175, the zone for 258. I don't know how many apartments are going to be there. 11 are, broken down. 60 single families, 11 3-story or 3 families. With children and teens driving. So 175 spaces. I don't know if there's going to be overflow onto the Reno Avenue, which doesn't have access to parking. It's very narrow. It's a well-used street, a well-used corner. There's gas, there's some types of food, there's, jiu-jitsu, there's things to do, but not really, not really. If I had a child, we do have a city park, not connected by sidewalk, maybe a few feet they'll have it, so they could come through the neighborhood. That the new residents are not going to have enough open space outside of their apartments, and the new residents aren't going to have
30 seconds remaining.
enough space inside of their apartments. So I have seen how the commission works, very, very thoughtful, very, very, with my gentleman farmer neighbor on 29th Street, we stand together and ask you to go about your business and plan wisely. I want a YMCA there. I want to put pickleball in my backyard. But I don't, because that'll annoy the neighbors, so. Thank you for your time, thank you for the lesson in civics, and I hope we get to stand and present something down the road.
Thank you, Mr.
That's for
Gattanzaro.
everyone. Thank you.
All right. Cynthia Gattanzaro? No? Okay, thank you. Curtis Kantenberger?
Hello, my name is Curtis Kantenberger. I live at 305 Durkee Road. I've been living in that house since 2013, and I'm not directly affected or on the line, but I am within 500 feet of the proposed spud. Privacy is a big issue for me. I'm one of the few in the Summers Point subdivision that has a backyard pool. I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and a 4-story behemoth will be looking right down into our backyard. And it's not just the people that are along the boundary that are affected. I think a lot of people in the subdivision are going to be affected. And as far as apartments coming, I wasn't even aware that it was approved for apartments for 3 stories. So definitely I'm opposed to 4 stories. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kantenberger. Robert, is it Merriweather? Mary Reith?
How y'all doing today? I'm Robert Merriweather, stay at 208 Stebbins Drive. My house is right in the middle where they're gonna build those apartments. And my biggest concern is some of the apartments they're gonna build is a 3-story or 4-story. So as soon as they build it, my privacy is gone. And my biggest concern is my privacy. Also, how it's gonna affect my resale value when I want to sell a house, when those apartments is back there. Another concern is Cemetery Road and Reno Road, they're not a multi-lane road. It's already a lot of traffic coming out of those neighborhoods, even on Cemetery at the intersection. So nowhere in the plan I seen where they're gonna widen the roads or make the drivability any better for the people in that area. And those are my biggest concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Merriweather. David Ray? Still with us? Guess not. Michael Tibbetts? Oh, that's the applicant. Oh, good. We're getting rid of some of these. Kathy Dahlquist?
Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Dahlquist. I live at 300 Partridge Run Road. I live my house is going to be one of the ones that are just adjacent to the fence. I think our biggest concern here today is the fact that we didn't know any of this was going on. We had no notification. I purchased my home in January of 21. I don't know when this spud was passed. I was not notified. I got no notification. It is a big shocker, and I think that's why there's so many of us here today that is not happy about the proposal. I understand Mr. Meek's comments about we don't have a choice. We always have a choice, and it's called we'll sell our homes. You are taking away our privacy. We have nothing against you for building. It's a process, and we do understand that. But we also have the right to expect privacy in our homes. I don't want a trash dumpster right outside my fence to listen to them dump the trash at 4:30 in the morning. And if you don't think that's true, Dollar General's across the street. I hear that one twice a week, 4:30 a.m. So I think that's our biggest concern was we were not made aware of this. We were not notified this was going in. So we just want to express our concern to you that we do not feel comfortable with the process that's gone on, and hoping that some concessions can be made between the areas that maybe results in good public welfare for all of us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dahlquist. This one doesn't have a last name, it's just Daniel. Daniel? Sure. I'm just going to ask you both give your name and address for the record.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Becca Calhoun. We live at, your name?
Daniel Calhoun.
We live at 304 Partridge Run, which is another property that is directly opposite of the new build. Kathy said it best. I think she really summarized what I was feeling. I wanted to also add that we have one small child, another one on the way, and really one of the things that I'm most uncomfortable, well, we didn't know that the apartments were already approved. We bought our house in
2025.
2023.
Yeah, wait, 4.
4.
Yeah,
2024.
Sorry.
We're not notified that this was already approved years past. And really, we didn't love that it was apartments to begin with, but now that it's 4 stories, we have going to have 2 small children playing in our yard, swimming. Like, I just don't want to be thinking about who's looking down into our yard while I'm in this very small already privacy box that we have. Another concern we had was just with the parking in general. We already live next to the storage unit, which obviously we were aware of when we bought the house. But what we have realized now is anytime a car drives through, their headlights are poking into our house. So to have that from essentially all sides of our yard is a huge problem for us personally. We already deal with the floodlights from the storage unit. At night, our house is not fully dark ever. So just thinking about the people coming in and out and the headlights. And so, you know, if this does move forward, we would really like to talk options about a new fence or landscaping to create a bigger buffer so that we're not having lights coming in through our house. And
Yeah, just to add to it, because our house sits a little bit higher, so we can see more into like the property that they're looking to build into. So the lights were, like the fence would have to be pretty high.
it's currently an 8-foot fence.
Yeah, and so.
Yeah. No, it's okay. But yeah, I mean, and mainly as a mom, I want to make sure that my kids are safe in the yard. I don't know who's watching. Obviously, we're not, I can't go meet every single person living in the apartments who has view into my yard. And I just want to make sure that my kids are not victims of creeps and whatever else. Thank you.
Did it? Just as a note, so the storage place to your right is PUD 1068, and so it's fairly old, but we're looking it up. One of the things that you should look into is the requirements of that PUD 1068. It's possible, I don't know how old it is, but it could have lighting restrictions on it. So your issue with lighting, they may or may not be compliant with the lighting standards that were in that. So that's something that you could look into.
Okay, well, since I have you, they also have had 2 trees die. There was like big trees planted and 2 of them have died since we moved in. Do you know if there's any?
I don't know. Yep, call the Action Center.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we didn't know that we could talk to them about the lights. We just kind of accepted that
Yeah.
it is what it is, so.
Yep.
Okay,
Research that PUD, and it's possible. Yeah, go ahead.
So that, that PUD was approved in, actually almost 20 years ago, April of 2005, or I guess 21 years. But there are specific regulations in there that say the lighting has to be installed so that the glare on the adjacent residential areas is restricted. So you can get with Gabriel over here, and we'll get your information, and we can tell you how to access the copy of that PUD.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. On a personal note.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
All right, and I had, the last one was Becca, so that concludes all of our speakers, so.
All right.
Is there anything that we heard from neighbors that you want to respond to?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a few comments. We're still happy to meet with them. Some of their concerns are also our concerns. One of the things I forgot to mention, from the various site plans, that 4-story version eliminated an entire row of windows facing south. We weren't able to do so on the west side functionally, but it gets it down from having like 30 people facing that way to 6. But we are more than happy to especially focus our landscaping there, place trees in a way, improve the fence between us and them, between the single family and our development. I think that's mutually beneficial for everyone. I understand their perspectives of not wanting people to see in your backyard, and we're more than happy to try and work with that as much as we can.
Do you mind telling me more what you're saying about the windows on the south side? What did you say?
If you go back to the building layout, so to make it easier, if you rotate it at 90 degrees, where there's all those units facing west, there was just as many units facing south. And so with this layout, there's only 4 stories of 2 on the left side and 2 rows of units on the right. So it's.
I see what you mean. They all have windows, there's just only a few lots
Yes.
on the south side as opposed to an entire wall of units.
There's
Got
8
it.
total units facing south instead of, I don't know how many are on that side, but substantially more.
Right.
So how many windows are facing south?
If I'm
16?
guessing right, I really think it's 16. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say 16, 4 and 4, or 4
Either-
units and 4 units.
For me, I'd like to either see them dampered, site-proof, or not there at all.
Yeah, we've had several developments. One thing we've done is we've tinted the windows, so they're not, you can't see through them, but they're significantly reduced visibility. We're happy to accommodate that, but the bigger thing is probably putting trees along those boundaries, which we plan to do anyways.
Right, it's written, it's baked in under C, number 6, site-proof screening. It's required. In addition to the site-proof screening, it says trees will be required to be planted along the western and southern boundary of the spud on 25-foot centers. And one thing we could, because this is being renegotiated, we could upgrade the caliper requirement to where the trees that that they're saying they would put in, we could move it to 20-foot centers, and we could make them be like a 4-inch caliper so that they are minimum of 14 to 21 foot when they're planted. They cost a whole lot more money. You don't want to go bigger than that because, as our landscape architects have told us, they don't survive. The bigger tree you plant, the harder it is for it to get going. But the 4-inch is a safe bet, correct, Chairman?
Yes.
So that is one thing that I spoke with the applicant about, that if we started heading this direction today, that's an increase I would be requesting, and he's already agreed to that. So I will say we have.
What if we increase the sill height of the windows on the south side also?
Well, if they're bedrooms, which it looks like on the south, you have 2 bedrooms on each floor. You can't adjust the sill heights to, it's an egress window.
It's emergency egress.
It's an emergency egress on a dormitory. So we have done it before. If it's a living room, we had higher transom windows, but when it's a bedroom, you can't mess with it. So.
But I'm sorry, you can do either etched windows or opaque windows.
Yeah.
I mean, rather than tint them. But, yeah, I mean, there are things you can do to make them less
Right.
transparent.
I mean, I'm talking to these guys now. You all are listening. I'm speaking openly. He has a site plan here in front of you. We could make it match what's on this site plan, because the site plan, really, he could change. But what we would tie him down to is the 60-foot setback on the west, the 60-foot setback on the south, the windows only facing south and no more than 16. We could bake that in. We could give him what he's asking for and also adding more requirements to it, as you know we did on the previous case. Or we could just say, you guys have fought this from the start. You don't want 4-story period. You don't matter that he could build it closer, that he could put windows anywhere he wants. We can't change the old PUD, the old SPUD. We cannot change it. It's non-negotiable now. It happened in 2021. So that's Commissioners, what's your thoughts?
So let me ask I know he's given a lot, and there's all these things that he gets already. What is he getting in addition now that he doesn't already have? Is it the 4th story?
That's it.
Okay. With that, is there an idea that maybe the higher floors should be the ones where the windows should be addressed, whether it's opaque, whether it's whatever? That's the main issue, I think, here. He's getting higher.
Right.
He's going to be looking over trees. That's what he's getting by going higher. So maybe there's something that needs to be done more about the windows. Maybe not on the 1st floor, maybe not even on the 2nd floor, but maybe 3rd and 4th.
I would just mention it's complicated, like the 35-foot, 45-degree plane, a 3-story window at 40-foot setback versus where the 4-story is at 60-foot setback is a lower angle than the 3-story. Yeah, of vision.
Side of vision. And that's, man, just lost what I was going to say. I want to tell you guys that are here to speak on this, I was a no. I thought this cat is trying to do something, and I spent so much time dug in to what you guys don't even see, this full design statement, which is a whole lot of reading and studying, thinking, what's he trying to get that we're not catching? Because you don't see very often an applicant out of the kindness of his heart see a set of prints and go, man, that 3-story building's really close to the south and the west. I will pay, $2,700 and go back through this whole process to try to move it to 40 feet or to 60 feet. But to keep the same number of units, I have to go up one more story. That's literally the story here. I thought there was something, and I did a whole lot of digging to make sure that I wasn't missing something. And that's legitimately, I believe, what Mr. Tibbetts has done. Now, I want to go, with the majority of my commissioners, but I think all of us take into account everything y'all have heard or y'all have said.
I want to interject. I kind of see this as an opportunity because, like everyone said, this is already an existing SPUD, 3-story apartments. We can't change that.
Right.
But this application, we have the ability with this application to mold it, manipulate it, work with the neighbors to make this something that you can live with. And that's, I actually think that's in your best interest, is to work with this application. And my recommendation would be that we defer this if the client is, or the applicant is in agreement. There's a neighborhood meeting with everyone, and some commissioner members can attend that. But there's an effort to basically lay out all of your needs as a neighborhood and what you want to see, what you need for you to be able to have this be an acceptable development that you're going to live next to.
I agree. And you guys all sat through that previous case where the apartment buildings were right up against the fence and the parking was in the middle. He's showing the opposite because of the setback. But on the old case, if we deny this and he gets to go back to the original PUD, he can put those buildings on the property line 40 feet away. So I'm okay with the deferral if you are, Mr. Tibbetts, and I would attend a meeting if you set it up. I know that we've found 3 different places in churches there's 3 churches out by you guys within 2 to 3 miles. He would have to call and speak to the pastors or secretaries and get a church to donate some space, but.
So we've reached out to 3 of the places. We're waiting for the 2 churches to call us back. There's I forget what the school is over there. They're only available from like 9 to 4.
Right.
So we plan to send out a meeting invite, but the only meeting they can do is on the 30th. And I don't know what the next commission date is, but we've done quite a bit of outreach. We're happy to go do some more.
That would, if you're looking at the 30th, then we would have to go to May 14th for the next, and that's a 4-week.
That's what's going to be an issue
Okay,
for us.
then you're going to have to find someplace available sooner.
That's what we'll do. We'll send out an email out right after this meeting, scheduling that. We would love for the neighbors to reply and let us know a day and time that works. Thus far, we've been unable to do that, but we're happy to be deferred once, but if it gets pushed past that,
I will say that if we're going to defer this for a neighborhood meeting, then it needs to happen. And if it hasn't happened by the time we get back here, based on, neighbors' availability, then we'll address that. But if you make every effort to make it happen,
We'll move forward.
So
we'll take that into consideration.
So we could have a 2-week deferral to the 23rd or to the 14th. That's our only 2 options right now.
the 23rd of this month?
Yeah, it's
April 23rd.
It's 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd have to find a place in 2 weeks that you guys gather your neighbors and come talk to him about molding this application, because most of y'all didn't even know there was apartments already approved. So now you get to, out of the kindness of his heart, with the new application, make some ideas come to life. So if you're in agreement with that?
Yep.
Okay. With that being said, stand by. I would like to defer this item, recommend a continuance to April 23rd for SPUD 1821.
Okay. We have a motion to continue the item to the 23rd.
And then I was going to say, while they're voting, we put the agenda out again a week from tomorrow. So we would like, if you have any changes that you want to incorporate into the next report, then we just want them back in a week. Okay.
So that's, you got to get the changes in a week. So that means that it has to happen
You got to get
Monday,
the
Tuesday,
changes
Wednesday.
in a week for it to be in our packet and on the agenda that goes out to us. But I promise you, if he didn't make that deadline, whatever's agreed upon, he would agree to, and we would make it happen here at the next meeting. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have that hard deadline of a week, but she's just saying if we do have a meeting in that time frame and you get it to her, it'll be in our packet.
Be clear, we can just read it in?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we had the motion from Commissioner Meek to continue the item. That was seconded by Commissioner Milner. Please cast your votes. And that is continued to the 23rd. Thank you. Our last item is item 16.
Item 16 is PUD 2133, an application to rezone 800 East Britton Road from R1 Single Family to the PUD 2133 district.
Last one, Caitlin Turner, 525 Northwest 11th Street, here on behalf of the applicant, who is also here with me. So the PUD is to rezone this tract southwest of East Britton Road, North Kelly. There's the existing People's Church that's right there within our tract 3 of this PUD. They've been there for about 22 years. They own this property. They obviously have an interest in seeing this area continue to grow and improve, which is why they're bringing forth this PUD application and will be involved in the development as well. So we have broken it up into 3 tracts. The first one being for, you'll notice we have restricted the uses, so now it's more of a commercial designation with a couple of light industrial uses that are permitted in Tract 1. Tract 2 would be for the allowance of commercial or multifamily product, and Tract 3, obviously the church, and since it's included in this PUD with our legal description, we added some additional commercial and office uses that we think would be compatible with it being on a major arterial. The site is kind of surrounded by predominantly office and commercial. To the south, we just recently rezoned that parcel for a commercial or multifamily product. We do have a recommendation of approval from staff with a whole slew of TEs, most of which we agree to. There are a couple of, one modification, one specification, if you will. So TE1, it's broken down into different subsections. Regarding E,
It just states establish a maximum number of dwelling units and/or density for the multifamily residential use. So we would seek to cap it at 30 dwelling units per acre. The multifamily use unit is now only going to be allowed within that tract 2 per the TE, just right above that number or item. Let's see. B removes the other multifamily where it was in the tract 1. We also would seek to modify TE3. We don't anticipate this being developed ever for a single family or lower density multifamily product, again, because of the surrounding area, because of the location along a major arterial. So we would just seek to modify that to the following will apply to any single family attached or detached or 2-family residentially developed parcel. That's that 1,320 foot verbiage that you have seen with the single family products. So we would seek to modify it in that manner. And then you will likely have seen that we had some protest letters on this application. We did have a community meeting. It was mostly the office complexes in the surrounding area. They had a list of items. We went through kind of line by line, answered their questions, addressed their comments. There's still some concern about Phillips Ave to the west. It is a public street, but it is not improved. So we would seek to add TE8 that would read, in the event Phillips Avenue is utilized for access, no certificate of occupancy will be issued until Phillips Avenue is improved, just to address any concern with that street. Our tract 1 does have access from Kelly, so that's where we anticipate traffic to come off of, but we wanted to include that given the current state of Phillips Avenue. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all have, and we would ask for your recommendation of approval.
In the absence of Commissioner Harrison, this is Ward 7. I'm going to ask our Vice Chair to take the lead on this one. I do not have anyone signed up to speak.
Thanks. I guess sometimes it's good to be last because we're
sorry.
more-
I'm sorry. I do have someone signed up.
Oh, okay.
Let's hear from them.
Okay. John Meek.
John Meek with First Commercial Management, address of 3719 North Portland Avenue. My firm sets up and operates business parks. So we handle the associations, and we usually come into the developments after the first 2-3 buildings are built up. Representing as an agent for the 2 associations over there, the 2 business parks. I'd like to make a complimentary that we did have the team meeting with Caitlin. It went well. She was very appropriately answering our questions and giving us some guidance there as to what could be done, not be done. There are restrictions on the uses, which helped us quite a bit. Speaking to Cedar Creek Commons, which is to the west of the church, facing, actually the east side faces Phillips Avenue. And with that street being undeveloped, currently gravel, it's groomed from time to time, but it's still a dust bowl, basically, because of what comes in and out of it. The church uses it for egress after their meetings often, rather than going up to the Britton Road exit. We have 2 lots there that the association has an owner that would like to develop them, build on them, and with the street uncompleted or not in paved condition, he's not in a position to be able to build on them because he would probably have to have access to Phillips. And unfortunately, the original developer defaulted, bankrupt, went away, and now you have a private owner of 2 lots, and the original plat called for the developer to pave half that street. Now you're placing that on the owner of a lot which doesn't have that kind of money, and they'll remain empty and undeveloped until the street is paved, preferably by the city. With the tract 1 down at the end down there for industrial, once that, I appreciate the comment of allowing the street to be paved at some point before an occupancy permit is approved for buildings back there, if they're going to use that. that solves one of our problems as far as getting the city involved and also the developer. So that was our biggest concern from Cedar Creek, was how fast would the street get developed to allow for further growth back there, allow the track 1 to be developed. It would also improve further down the lots that are agricultural back there to be improved. Speaking from the overall industrial standpoint, we've had a bad experience with the Tower Lake Association with the rezoning and allowance of what's happened to the north of that property. We have a mulching operation up there. So our different owners and our million-dollar buildings and their type of businesses, we deal with ongoing smells and from the mulching operation. We would hope that the industrial, being industrial allowed, that we wouldn't have something coming from the west. And so we'll be watching this project much more stringently than we did the other one to ensure that we don't have an odor problem coming into as the wind blows over to our project. So you have a business park on both sides. We're just concerned that we proceed with the communication with the developer and the church. Church has been a good neighbor. We've been a good neighbor to them. The multifamily R4 that could go in will potentially cause us some traffic issues and other things with the Tower Lake project, but we'll wait for that to be presented for permitting and the things that occur on that. We'll address anything that we see out of the ordinary there. But overall, I think if we just work together on it, both associations can come up with a resolution. Hopefully with the city spending a little money on Phillips, it'll allow them to develop that area a little faster and complement the track 1 back in the back. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Meek. And just a point of clarification, the developer would be improving Phillips if they choose to take access on it, not the city.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, it would have to be improved.
Or,
So
right.
it would be great if it was the city,
Yep.
but if they're using it and they want to speed that up, then yes, that's correct.
okay. Any questions, comments?
No, I mean, yes, I do have some comments and went over some stuff, but just a couple of things. On the facade regulations, remove the architectural metal from the 70 to the 30.
Could we keep it for tract 1, but then for tract 2, remove it to the 30%? Since we do have that lighter industrial use that we have contemplated for tract 1.
I knew you were probably going to ask that because you want a metal building over there. Anyone else
It
have
is kind
anything
of
to say on that?
hidden behind that creek that,
I mean, there's not a public road down there. You can't get on the west side of it. I don't have a larger view to see what's going on to the west or the south.
we also have a 50-foot setback from the west and the south as well.
There we go.
So that's the, I mean, yeah. Just
No,
given-
and I'm good with it. I mean, mainly was for the apartment complex
Okay.
or
so we
potential
can add-
R4, so just,
Yeah, we can add that as a TE to modify section 9.1 to stipulate that, my brain is.
architectural
pausing
metal will
right
be
now.
placed.
Architectural metal will be moved to the 30%
30%
for tract 2 and tract 3, but shall be allowed for tract 1.
And then next one is on the screening regulation, the type and potential column distances on the fencing. It's kind of difficult because you have 3 different kinds of uses. So
So because this is our standard verbiage kind of across the board, so what are you wanting to see for screening?
well, the apartment complex would need to be screened, and how? But
Screened from the west?
I'd like to see it off Kelly with the wrought iron, screen between that and the church. And then there's enough screening on the back with the creek and the trees.
Well, technically, if track 2 is developed for residential, that would require us to screen between tracks 2 and tracks 3 with that verbiage. But you're wanting it increased? Sorry.
Well, just like I said, the types and the material, so not just the standard boilerplate screening. I'd like to see, like I said, wrought iron across the front of the apartment complex, or the R4 potential. Come on,
Okay,
Jeremy,
so if
help
we
me.
added a TE to, in the event that track 2 is developed for multifamily, an iron fence shall be required along North
Kelly.
Kelly Avenue,
Let's say wrought iron or ornamental aluminum.
wrought iron or aluminum.
Or
Ornamental aluminum.
Got it. Yep, we can add that as, let's see, TE 8 would be architectural metal for track 1 only, so this would be TE 9.
And I think you probably should specify a height also, just so we're not caught up in
6
our
to 8.
6 to 8
front
feet.
yard fence rules.
Got it.
And can we put a limit on the dwelling units per acre on track 2 if it's developed as R4?
So we had included in the or specification, I guess, of 1E on the TEs, 30 dwelling units per acre.
That's the maximum, right?
Yes, it is. But again, we've limited multifamily to just track 2.
Yep. And how about height?
Height, we have limited to 35 feet, so standard. That's what it is to the south as well as just R1.
35 feet and 3 stories? Can you get
so-
3 stories in 35 feet?
We just say 35 feet.
So
Per
it's
base
2
zoning
stories.
with a cap at 35 feet. Which is also why we would seek to keep it at 30 dwelling units per acre since we're capping the height pretty low.
For just for context, 30 dwelling units an acre on track 2 is 447 units.
And again, we have that 50-foot setback to the south, and again, the cap on height.
Yeah. So you'll never be able to get 447 units in that area.
Yeah.
I think that is all I had noted on that one. Anything else? All this is preliminary proposed.
Yep,
So there is a
exactly.
lot of detail to come.
And
It all has
we'll-
to have specific plan.
Yep, I was gonna say, we've agreed to the specific plan, so you all will see this again, if, or when it develops in the future. No plans at this point in time.
You guys talk on the record.
Anything else? Jeremy? I never get called out for talking, so.
Got everything.
Okay, with that, I will make a motion to approve PUD 2133 with the TEs and as amended with 8 and 9 as read.
8 pertaining to the completion of
Phillips
Phillips
Avenue.
Avenue and the CO,
And 9 the fence.
and 9 is the architectural matters. Okay. We have a motion from,
Yeah, so removing the architectural metal was 9, I think, right? And then
That was
10 would
8.
be the fence.
8 is Phillips, 9 is the architectural metals, 10 is the
Yep.
railing, and 11, whatever that was. Maybe I made up the 11. My brain is also not working.
Okay, so I have, the addition to TE 8 is modifying the architectural metal for tract 1 only. 9 would be requiring the 6 to 8 foot fence along Kelly, and then
we need to add something for the architectural metal on tract.
That's for tract 1 only. Yeah, that's number 8.
Okay. So then Phillips Avenue's improvement,
Yes.
No CO.
That would be 10.
yeah.
No CO will be approved prior to Phillips Avenue being improved, excuse me. And then the 30 dwelling units per acre.
Yeah, that was
Modification,
The
number
modification,
3.
there was also the modification to number 3 to specify single-family or two-family residential development.
Yep, only.
Yeah.
We have everything covered. We had a few flipped around there, so I want to make
I
sure
know.
everyone is square.
I have my list, and I can go back and watch as well. Sarah will check me if
Okay.
there is anything amiss.
Okay, so we have a motion to recommend approval subject to the amended TEs from Commissioner Noble. That's been seconded by Commissioner LaForge. Please cast your votes. We waiting on anyone?
Thank
That
you.
item is recommended for approval. That was the end of items to be heard individually. Additional items, communications report, planning commission committees. I don't believe there are any meeting. Planning commission members.
Two things. The Hefner Golf Course opening is tomorrow, so bring your clubs. At 10 a.m., I want to say. And just in case that message did not get conveyed, I think we need to be, informed about the Meridian Corridor Plan. And so whatever, presentation would be appropriate, whether that's study session or otherwise. It's like, if we're going to be, considering it in our decision-making, I think we need to, know something about it.
Commissioner Meek?
I agree, and we still have the study session on the 17th, correct? Next Friday?
Training session.
Training session?
Yes.
It's about time I got trained.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got.
Yeah, and the top of the list is talking on record.
You two do it too.
Yeah, I know better.
Commissioner Privet?
No, I've read a little bit about the Meridian stuff, but
Okay.
that was a year or two ago.
Commissioner Newman?
I have not read about the Meridian stuff, but I don't have anything else.
When it went through council, it was right before.
Commissioner Milner? Nothing?
Nothing, thank you.
Jared, thanks for joining us up here. Commissioner Noble?
I'm good.
Commissioner LaForge? I don't have anything. Planning Department?
Just the reminder about the study session, I don't have RSVPs or confirmation from everyone, so make sure you let us know. It's next Friday,
Training session.
training session, the 17th, starting at 8
Convention Center?
a.m. at the convention center.
Okay.
I've already alerted our staff that some of our commissioners might not be able to make an 8 a.m. meeting. I'm looking this way.
All right. Municipal Counselor's Office? Nothing? All right. Citizens to be heard? Again, we didn't get to hear from Barry today. Oh, man. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.